Music skipping.
Okay. Buddy. Oh, I forgot I'm still downloading.
Yes, I think you got a minute. This is from Como News in Seattle. They're making a big deal out of that.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Shining on the Shadows. This is Kathleen Fitzgerald. I've got a couple of hosts, or a couple of guests. I'm the host. I've got a couple of guests. First of all, we have Sheriff Songer, and we're going live from the Klickitat County Sheriff's Office here in Goldendale. And we're delighted to be here, all of us together, because the title of the show, this is episode 13, is Can Americans Save America by Following the Constitution? And I've got, of course, the sheriff here to answer questions that I've got concerning the shutdowns, the lockdowns that are going on across America, and especially in Skamania County and where I live, but also too in the Sheriff's County, the Klickitat County. So, and then we've got Daryl Neely here. He's the owner and producer of the Global Enlightenment Radio Network. We're excited to have him here because he was over in the rally in Washington, D.C., the Stop the Steal, so he can bring us some information about that. And hopefully Joey Gibson of Patriot Prayer will chime in and call us and zoom in live from Richland, Washington, where he is at an establishment that is getting threatened to being shut down. The state is, of course, wanting to lock us all down because of the COVID-19, the virus that is spreading throughout, they say is a huge surge. But in my opinion, I think that they've got all their numbers. They need the numbers. They need it to be a huge crisis or situation so that they can proceed with their communist socialist regime of the New World Order and taking over America. So with that being said, I think it's really important that everyone understands what is going on. And in my opinion, what I think is going on is they want to shut the small businesses down, funnel you all into the big markets like Costco and Home Depot and these things. They want full control over your food. They want control over pretty much every aspect of your life. So what we're going to do here today is kind of break down for you folks what we can do as citizens by following the Constitution, following the laws of the land. How can we protect our businesses right now during this? Because I think Governor Inslee, Governor Kate Brown, and also the governor of California and other governors in the other states, I don't know that much about, but what I do know is that we have 3 governors over here that are instilling mandates for us that I think are unlawful. And that's why I've got Sheriff Songer on here, because he can help everybody understand what this means, what we can do to protect ourselves and our businesses. Because I think if the small businesses in your area can survive, then your community is much more likely to stay financially secure. And we don't want to end up like Venezuela, because I did a lot of research on Venezuela. And a lot of what's going on looks like for over 10 years, they have been fiddling around with the voting system. And I think they very well thought that they could bring the voting system here, the corrupt voting system, the Dominion and all that they're doing right now, and use it to overtake and get Biden in. And a vote for Biden is a vote for China, which is a vote for the Rothschilds, which is a vote for the New World Order. And of course, the satanic Luciferian takeover of the world, if you really want to go that far. So without further ado, thank you for being on the show, Sheriff Songer. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being here. So with all the lockdowns, I've got to tell you that my sheriff, Dave Brown of Skamania County, he put out a post on Facebook from his Skamania County Sheriff's Office stating that he is not going to be taking, I should read it to you, but he's not interested in taking any calls if people think there's too many people gathering for Thanksgiving. And he's not enforcing the mask rules as well. So what are you doing here in your county for your people, sir?
Well, my position is not changed. I did put out a press release on the 18th of this month, November, to reestablish my position on COVID-19 and Governor Inslee's, in my view, unconstitutional orders that he has put on not only the citizens, but on small businesses and gatherings and so forth. But the way I look at it, if an individual wants to follow the governor's dictates, wear a mask, follow their dictates in their business and so forth, yeah, they can do that. No problem. Don't have a problem with that. That's up to them as an individual. However, as a citizen of our county, if you choose not to wear a mask, or you are a business and you choose not to follow the governor's orders, which, by the way, in my opinion, is not the law. It's merely suggestions or orders. He makes it sound like orders coming from the governor's office. That's their right as well. You have an individual right under the Constitution. Take care of your own health. Government's business is to make sure your rights are protected. That's the government's business. But Inslee seemed to lost sight of all of that. And he's doing it under the guise he's going to save you. He's going to save everybody. Now, I'm not saying that the virus isn't serious, but it seems to me that we're getting, because they'll always go back to science. Science says this, science says that. Well, if you've been watching a lot of these news media, and not so much the fake news media, but the others, and you'll see the different opinions from doctors. And in fact, I just read an article this morning that said mask will not prevent you from getting the virus. In other words, there's no, the mask is not a good tool to wear. So you're hearing it from both sides. My feeling on it is a constitutional one. Government has no right, absolutely no right, to prevent you from taking care of your own health and not dictating to you how to do that. Now, they want to advise you, that's one thing. But beyond that, that's where it stops. They cannot go after you, charge you. And my God, look what happened with Inslee in his last so-called constitutional direction to the citizens of the state and the small businesses. He's to the point now he's telling you who you can have over for Thanksgiving dinner, for Christ's sakes. Now that is just pure looniness. That is pure Nazism. He has no business. If I want to have my relatives over and my best friends over, and he'll allow you to do that if they've been quarantined for 14 days and 7 days prior to them coming to your house, they have to have a COVID test and check negative prior to them entering your home 48 hours prior, or somehow are set for going into your home. Baloney. That's just unreal. But if he gets away with telling you who you can have in your house, what's the next step of liberty you're going to give up? And that's where they're headed with it. They're training the public. Drink their Kool-Aid. They're training the public on how to give up your liberties and your constitutional rights. And that is wrong. Wrong. And people need to stand up that believe in their Constitution, that believes in their rights, and believe in their God-given rights to stand up and fight against this. And I'm not necessarily talking physical fighting against it. However, if it came to that, then you might be faced with that. But what I'm talking about, get right back in this liberal's face. Let them know that they have no business telling you how to run your life. And I feel very strongly about that. You know, it's a matter of we have to enjoy our freedoms. And the way Inslee and these other governors are going about it, you're not going to have much freedom in due time, and it's not going to take that long. Here's an example in Oregon. Same kind of thing. You can't have people over for Thanksgiving, and you better be wearing a mask or you've committed, I'm joking, felony mask violation. They want the police to go out, and the governor over there, Brown, absolutely said she would have the Oregon State Police and the sheriffs over there citing and arresting people for not wearing a mask or violating her direct orders. But at the same time, they're extremely proud of the fact that they have now, you can possess small amounts of cocaine, heroin, blotter acid, and it's a civil infraction, like a litter ticket. But if you don't wear a mask, you could go to jail. That's how loony it is. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I did a bunch of research on the whole the face mask and the gathering for Thanksgiving. And you're right. They want you to quarantine for 14 days. So if I want to go over to, say, my mom's house, but I work, that's going to be absolutely impossible. And so also, they're not closing schools. So if I quarantine, but my children are going out of the house, say I've got children in school and they're out, I mean, doesn't that kind of null and void your quarantine if you've got people coming in and out of the house? I mean, I'm not sure what the parameters of quarantine actually mean and how they can actually enforce it. Then the issue of, okay, I don't choose plan A because I'm not going to quarantine for 14 days, but I can choose plan B, which is quarantine for 7 days. But within that, there's a time period where I've got to get the test and I've got to get it back only within 48 hours. Can't be any more than 48 hours from the time I go to the gathering. Yeah. But then they say that even in the CDC website, I looked it all up, they say the mask isn't going to really work if you're in a closed environment with people for a certain length of time. So the amount of time and the amount of enclosure null and voids the mask. And then they're saying, just have a virtual Thanksgiving.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to start laughing.
No, so Daryl, you are over there on the Washington D.C. East Coast side. What is your perspective over there about the lockdowns? Are you seeing any businesses getting locked down? What's happening over there?
Well, at current, nothing is being locked down because our mayor is a Democrat liberal and she wants to make up some money. Did I say that nicely? I think I did. All right, but on the other side, we got people in the city that really don't care about anything other than themselves. And it's all about Black Lives Matter and let's riot and let's get that man out the White House. And, they're a bunch of scumbags. But the reality when it comes to the Constitution and this virus is kind of interesting. The courts have taken a hands-off approach, and the federal government says, hey, the states can, decide on their own how to handle this situation. But we all blame the president for what the states are doing. hold on. Did anybody catch that? We blame the president for what the states are doing. Then you got the people out there rioting and protesting. And, here in D.C., we had the mega march, okay? And it was a beautiful situation. I mean, you should have seen the families out there, people wearing the American flag. It was a scene of pure beauty. I mean, it was like peace. I mean, there was no issues. I mean, you could hear the speeches from miles away. You saw the huge crowds. Yes, they were big, so big. Yeah, I like when my man Trump says it. No, I'm not a Trump fan. I'm not an anybody fan. But the bottom line, I like when he did say it. It was so big. I love that. It was mega. Yeah, it was huge. I've never seen so many people in D.C. And yeah, I guess they had it right. It was bigger than inauguration. It was even bigger than Obama's inauguration and others' inauguration, because so many people are standing up for their rights now. Now, we are patriots. We're humans. We are Americans. Let's try those words out, because people don't seem to understand those words anymore. And then on the other side, we have the issue of the scumbags coming out at night, or as they say, the freaks come out at night, and they want to put a stop to it. But they can be out all night till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, but we can't be out all, okay? They can be out all day, but we can't be out. So that's against our constitutional rights, because the city did not say it's a lockdown or anything of that nature. So they wanted to go out there and stab people and get people to strike fear. Well, these people came from all points of the country, and fear is not an option when your back's against the wall. You got to do something. And I'm sorry to say, yes, the Patriots stood up and they smited and they fought back. Yes, we had some Patriot families injured, little kids injured. Come on, people, kids. Kids. Why are you going to hurt a child? Why are you going to stab? Oh, I'm sorry. Let's try it again. D.C., we do have the right to carry in D.C. to a degree. But the bottom line is, they told all the Patriots they couldn't bring guns. I mean, it's almost like telling, Virginia, you can't have your gun. Like Maryland, you can't have a gun. But that's okay. We still stood out there, and we still did our legal right to protest in public without harming another individual. That is the shame of this Antifa, Black Lives Matter. It ain't no social group. It is not no political group. These are savages, and they need to be removed out of our system. Listen, if you have any idea that those two groups are not one, then you're wrong. Those two groups are definitely one. And they're ran with little kids that grew up during the Obama administration. Look at the age of these people you're seeing out there. Grew up during the Obama administration because they got freedom to be what they want to be. They could be a fruitcake or a cheesecake or a slice of bologna. And it doesn't make sense, because you're not considering yourself a human or an American first. Now, while out there, I saw a lot. I mean, I've been out there and looked at the Black Lives Matter protests. I was there when Vernon Jones, I had to drag him into the hotel because they were throwing bottles at him and his daughter. Democrat, man of color. And I had to drag him into the hotel from his getting hurt. Does that make sense, people? I mean, help me out. Does it make any sense? Okay, let's continue. So I've sat out there, and I had a nice interview with the guy doing his little web news thing about Black Lives Matter and what's going on. He's been traveling the country. And I told him, these kids have no idea of who they are. They don't have any idea of Constitution. They don't have any idea of rights, liberties. They don't have any idea. Most of them had brand new shoes on and watches. And what kid in these days have watches? You got cell phones. Look, you got cell phones. You don't need a watch. But see, I'm old school too. I got watches in the drawer. But the bottom line is, because I know this technology is going to end one day, and I'm just waiting for it. But these people are very organized to the point of it's dysfunctional. It's strategically, it looks crazy, like you're making crazy chess moves, but it is not. It is a strategic shot at not just pulling our Constitution away, but it's a strategic shot at destroying families. I mean, now you got families one side of the border say, yeah, Black Lives Matter. It sounds good, but that's not what they mean. And I'm sorry, black is a color. It's not a race. It's not a person. So, I mean, sorry, I got on that topic last time. I was pissed off because people have no common sense of knowing that we all bleed the same bloody red color. And if it stagnates, it's blue. But that's another topic. The people need to understand that during these mega rallies, you're seeing no violence. The only violence you're seeing is when they come to you, because they're standing their ground, but they're not destroying stuff. What is really, hold on, maybe the intelligence of the listeners is like vagued off or something. You go to mega rallies, there's no violence. There's no burning of cars. There's no flipping of trucks. There's no burning of businesses. There's no destroying of your city. And you don't get a street named after you call Patriot Street. But you join the Black Lives Matter side, you get to burn up and destroy and loot and rob and have a good old time. Seems like something that reminds me of that movie Demolition Man, when my man goes, just like the good old days. Well, no, those days are gone.
I know. Can you imagine a bunch of us going, like you guys and me and some buddies that we have, go to somebody's house, take spray cans and spray paint, FU and all this stuff, and knock their windows in and smash their house plants and get away with it. That's what BLM Antifa have been doing. And what I know is that the Portland police chief, so I was there on the streets and I saw BLM and I saw Antifa. I saw a Antifa super soldier. And I know she was confused, gender confused, right? So these kids don't really have a place. I mean, and Antifa and BLM and Soros and Obama have given them a place. And they're all young.
Don't forget Hillary Clinton.
And I saw, an Antifa be, like I said, a super soldier. It was a woman, but I'm sure she identified something for somehow else, because they got to get them confused in order to, get them into being these super soldiers. And they wear all of this gear, all this black bloc. That's what black bloc is, BLOC. It's a form of riot gear that they wear.
It costs money.
They don't get any, they can do whatever they want and they're fully protected. And so they came over. They're very aggressive, but they're just kids. Mm-hmm. And I was just looking at them going, hi, what are you doing over here? And gave them some attention. I think that's really what they're looking for, attention. They want to be cool. They want to be in this in crowd, and it's quite extensive. But besides all of that, I want to know, Sheriff Songer, why are these mandates unlawful specifically? I mean, Governor Inslee keeps putting this stuff on us. Like, now what's he going to do? Have us pat our heads and rub our stomachs and wear our masks and stand on one foot and hop? Is that really what's going on? It seems like it's going to be more and more and more things we've got to do to comply.
Well, let me address that. You're spot on, and so is Durham. Both of you understand what's going on here. Antifa and Black Lives Matter have a game plan, and that game plan is to turn this country into a socialist, communist country. And if there's people out there in this audience that don't believe that, you better pull your head out of the sand, and I'll sell you some beach property in Arizona, because you have to be totally naive to believe that is not going on. Biden and that whole crew, the far left crew, that's what they want, and that's where they're headed with it. And if people don't think that's happening, they're being foolish, absolutely foolish, and a bunch of sheep that are following along. No, Inslee is following that same book. He's following the same plans that have been laid out along the West Coast, the East Coast. You'll notice all these blue states with governors that are Democrat governors all seem to be in lockstep when it comes to certain closing down, and you can't have Thanksgiving dinner, all this kind of stuff. That's all by design, all by design. And take it to the bank, there'll be more coming down the road from these governors and trying to break the will of the people, convince them that, hey, I'm government here, I'm here to help you, which is a bunch of BS. Yeah, they're here to help you. They're there to help themselves gain power and control over people. And the first thing they're going to go after, or one of the first things, is Second Amendment gun control. They'll go after that in a New York second if they can get it. And people are going to have to wake up to the fact that this is not the USA that we all respect and consider part of the Constitution. They want to do away with that Constitution. That's a roadblock for them. In order for them to control people, one of the major things they got to do is disarm people, brainwash them into thinking the government's the answer to it all, will take care of you from cradle to grave. You don't have anything to worry about, all these free programs. And that's where they're singing their song to the far left, is to the masses out there. And what's scary is how many of the masses are drinking that damn Kool-Aid and believing it, and adamantly believing it. But to get more in the area of the business, local businesses, small businesses, as sheriff, I don't have any control over their business license and so forth. I can tell you that our deputies, and I'll just read this to you, my deputies will not be enforcing mask wearing, indoor social gatherings, outdoor social gatherings, religious services, wedding and funeral gatherings, or the restrictions of restaurant and bars, along with the other businesses that fall under Governor Inslee's most recent COVID-19 restrictions. If a citizen and a business owners of the Klickitat County choose to follow the Governor Inslee's COVID-19 restrictions, that is their right to do so. However, if a citizen and business owners of Klickitat County choose not to follow Governor Inslee's COVID restrictions, that is their constitutional right to do so. And I put on there, if your business owners feel they are being harassed by L&I agents or the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis agents, and that goes, or as far as that goes, for the health department, please call me at, and I give my phone number. I can't prevent them from getting a citation from L&I because I have no control over their business license. But what I can do, when L&I or one of these other government agencies show up at their business, which they have a legal right to be in there. If you sell liquor, the liquor board can be there. If L&I, to make sure you're treating your employees, safely and all that. So they do have a legal right to go into these businesses. However, if they're doing it every week or every other day, you know damn well they're harassing them and trying to scare the hell out of them. So I want to call, that's why I put my phone number there. I want these businesses to call me. I don't care if it's 2 a.m. at a bar. I will get up, I'll be down there, stall these people until I can get there. If they get out of hand, if the agents get out of hand and violate the law, they will go to jail as well. However, what I encourage these business owners to do is when you have you have an L&I or OSHA, some places it's OSHA, and a liquor commission, agents come into your establishment. Be professional. Be courteous. Be professional, and say, look, due to I feel that I'm being harassed, and I'm feeling I'm being picked on by the governor for setting these unconstitutional rules. I'm going to tape record this conversation between you and I. Now, this is important. In the state of Washington, it's a two-party consent state. You can't secretly tape record the agent. Because if you do, you committed, I believe it's a gross misdemeanor. However, you put him on notice or her on notice that you are tape recording that conversation. And then tape record. If they say, no, you can't tape record my conversation, then I'm asking you to leave my establishment. You have legal rights there. And I heard that there is a law firm, Selinsky Law Firm out of Kennewick, Washington, that is willing to take on small businesses that believe their constitutional rights are being violated. Now, I'm not recommending them. I don't know them, but I have heard that. And I also heard their phone number is 509-735-5683. Now, from a legal standpoint, I'm not recommending any particular attorney, but these are the rumors I've heard, and I think citizens ought to know about it.
Could you repeat the name, sir, of the law firm?
Yeah, the rumor I heard was Selinsky, that's CELSKI Law Firm, and their phone number is 509-735-5683, and that's out of Kennewick, Washington.
Kennewick, okay.
Wow, that's something. I mean, people don't understand that. We hear a lot of things out there, and you got to keep your ears to the ground, as they say for police officers out there. The sheriffs do the same; they keep their ears to everything, and they hear a lot of rumors that go around because. Sometimes you hear things that can help somebody else, like the price of bread is cheaper over here at this grocery store than over there at that grocery store, or beer, a six-pack of beer is cheaper over here and cheaper than that. I mean, we're community helpers over here, and we love to help the community find better prices on things that are out there. Ain't that beautiful, Kathleen?
Yes, that's beautiful. So,
I would say one thing. As a sheriff, I'm elected by the sheriff, elected by the public, citizens of my county. So, they're my bosses, and I got to tell them that's a rumor I heard. And they can judge for themselves if there's any validity to any of it.
Yeah. So let me get this straight for all the people that are watching, and I want to thank the Global Enlightenment Radio Network again for giving us a platform, and I just want to thank everybody for joining us live right now. So if I have a business and any government agency that's coming in and I feel like I'm being harassed, I can ask to have the conversation recorded. And if they don't want to, then they can be asked to leave. When is a good time to call the sheriff in? And when do you know you're in trouble? If it's an unconstitutional or soft sheriff is what I call them, then you're probably not going to have your rights protected. But what would it look like for the public if they had concerns? What does it look like for them when they call the sheriff?
Well, like I said before, and I stress this, I have no control over their business license. LNI and the Liquor Commission, those folks do in fact have, control over their business license. But you don't have to be a whipping post as a business either. You don't have to put up with the harassment if they're in there day in and day out constantly. Now, if they're in there and they're doing their job, for example, the State Liquor Commission would be in there to make sure there's no minors in the establishment, that you're not over serving, and so forth. Last time I checked, I do not believe, although they may think they have to follow the governor's direction, but I don't believe they're masked law enforcement officers, to enforce the governor's rules and stuff. Now, if they go in there and they're doing their normal job, and then they start getting on people about not wearing a mask and you got social distancing not going on, um, give me a call. Um, and if for some reason you're not able to get a hold of me, I'm talking about businesses in Clickitat County. For some reason, if you're not able to get a hold of me, before you get into a long conversation with these individuals, tell them you're the one, you're the business owner, you want to, and be polite about it, professional, but you feel uncomfortable, you feel you're being harassed, and you want to tape record the conversation. And if they say, no, I'm not going to allow you to tape record me, say, okay, fine, then our business is done, over.
Okay.
And no longer cooperate. Just tell them, you can tell them, if you feel that I've violated the law, then you go and get a search warrant based on probable cause, and then come back to my establishment. And I'll honor the warrant.
Okay, so I got another question. So Eamon Bundy has got this, I guess, this thing that he's doing, and he's going in, and I think other people are doing this too. They're going in without masks, and they're trying to shop, and then they're willing to even get arrested. But what I think is happening is they go in without the mask, and then if they get harassed, then they call the sheriff to protect their rights. So how do you feel about that?
Well, that makes the water a little murky, to be quite honest with you. What you got there, you got a business establishment that is scared to death. They do not want to be cited by L&I or the liquor commission or somebody else following the governor's orders. They don't want to be cited. They cited, surely that'll kill their business. My approach to that is, if you go in there and you don't have a mask on, and they ask you to leave because you don't have a mask on, yes, you would have an argument that business is violating your rights, but have respect for that business too. Their livelihood is on the ground, on the line, and let the business deal with that through an attorney, class action lawsuits, and various other things that the governor the governor's dictates. But I kind of relate it like if I go into a restaurant barefooted without a t-shirt on, chances are they're not going to serve me. They're going to tell me, hey, you got to leave. So if there's, and it's even more so now because they're scared to death, they're going to get cited for this stuff, which is illegal in my opinion, but that doesn't mean they won't get cited, doesn't mean they won't have big attorney bills trying to fight it and stuff. That's why I hope that rumor I heard is true, but pro bono. But anyway, I would encourage people to have compassion for that business owner. They don't like it any more than that individual likes it. Believe me, I talked to a number of small businesses. They're not happy with all this crap that the governor's trying to shove down their throat. And I think that they'll win out in the long run. In the meantime, it's kind of miserable. But there's ways to dealing with that, and that's through the courts, through lawsuits. And I would suggest going federally. Go so you're not tied up in state courts where they might be a little more friendly to Governor Inslee in that group. But there's federal violations there.
Well, thanks for clearing that up. I'm a little confused about how the governor can use L&I and can use the health department basically as thugs to pull off a communist CCP type regime, where I know that Governor Inslee is, I just saw let's see, what I was looking at here. Oh gosh, I write down so many notes, and then when I get to the show, it's like, where are my notes? But that's okay. So Governor Inslee's appointed a new state health director, I think, The other guy is gone, but he's also working heavily with the Gates Foundation to get this vaccine going. Meanwhile,
Let's make some money.
bullying small businesses. So we're getting really hit by all the angles right now. And so my motto is shop local, go to your small businesses in your hometown, stop shopping Amazon, stop shopping in these big giant techs because they're getting rich. They're getting hugely rich off of this. And so I wanted to say too that I went to a market in White Salmon. They let me, this was a while back. This was a couple months ago. They let me go in without a mask. I just wanted to see what would happen. I was listening to Peggy Hall and I thought, well, I'm just going to try this out. I love her. She's got the Healthy American. Guys, check her out. Anyway, so I went in without a mask and I stayed in and I walked around and stayed in a little bit longer. Got some potato salad at the deli. So they let me do all this without a mask. Then as I came around with my lunch items, just a few, I was waiting. The manager came around and positioned herself over against the wall in front of that checkout stand waiting for me. And they basically, what they did was they held my food for ransom. And I said, so you're going to allow me to come in and without a mask, get potato salad and all this for 20 minutes, but not allow me to purchase my food without a mask. So what I did was I took off an extra shirt. I didn't even have my mask with me. Took off an extra shirt and I put it around I tied it around my head and I said, how's that? And the guy said, I guess that's okay. So I don't understand this kind of mentality. I just don't get it.
Well, what you've got, and I think both of you probably realize this. You've got employees that have been given instructions by the owner who does not want to lose his business and get cited. And some of these people, if they get a little power, they think they've got a lot of power. What are they going to do? Wrestle you to the floor if you don't have a mask on, that kind of thing. That's how ridiculous it's gotten. But, yeah. Personally, what I do is if I go into a store and they say, hey, you need a mask on, or a restaurant, I'll wear a mask, go sit down at the table. Because I realize, you got to understand this, I realize that virus is damn smart because it'll only attack me when I'm walking into the store with a mask on. And once I sit down and take the mask off to eat, it won't attack me. I mean, that's how smart that virus is. So, and that's how silly all of this is, right? But I've told people, I think you hit a line on that, but I've told my wife, Franny, I said, if Governor Inslee come out with the rest of his silly dictates and orders, and which are not law, but come out and said, look, I'll guarantee you that you will not catch that virus. If you'll step out on your front lawn, jump up and down, pat your belly, and rub your head at the same time, you will not catch the virus. And what do you bet, Kathleen? You'll see people doing that. Because they swallow that Kool-Aid. They totally buy that whole bunch of crap that Governor Inslee is putting out. And that's what's scary. Because you'll have people that'll defend his unconstitutional actions. I mean, they get upset over it. And that's how bizarre it is. And they're the same ones that'll wear a mask into a restaurant, sit down, take their mask off because they're safe, right? And then they'll get up. And so they really should call that the walking virus because you're only going to get it at that point in time.
I'm sorry. I can't do it.
You've got Daryl in stitches. He wanted, I'm so glad that he's on the show. I told him that you were going to be the guest. He's like, oh, I want to be there. I said, absolutely. So, so Daryl,
It's hot. Sheriff, you are so right about that. And I've always sat there and I wondered, when they said about last year, almost beginning of the year, they said that the virus was airborne, and then you say, "Hey, you gotta wear a mask," and I'm sitting there like, it's already airborne. Why do I think you wear a mask? And then you sit there and you think, well, hold on, let me get this glass of Kool-Aid they're giving me now. They said I have to spend money, hold on this mask. I got to buy them. And more Kool-Aid, please. I mean, you're spending money for nothing. Yes, you're contributing to the economy in a very small, minute, indiscriminate way when it comes to doing that individually. Now, if you think as a country as a whole, I want to know who has the stock, lock, and barrel on these masks.
Yeah, right.
Because, I mean, they must be filthy, stinking rich. Hold on. Maybe I should look at a mask. Does it say made in China?
Yeah, I don't know. It's getting pretty complicated right now because I think that I just talked to a business owner. Gosh, what business was it? They were like, well, it's only for a month because this whole lockdown thing with all this new COVID restrictions for Inslee is, it's only for a month. But, we just don't understand what these businesses have had to go through, what they've had to jump through in order to stay open. Then everything's kind of okay, unless you're downtown Portland where everything's boarded up from Antifa, BLM, smashing everything down. Yeah. Then things could be kind of normal. But we've got the election over with now, and we're going to start ramping up this COVID thing again. So here we are. And if all of us comply, they're going to keep taking away the material. They're just going to keep taking away your freedom, and they're going to keep pushing you and pushing you and pushing you to more and more control. And pretty soon it's going to be like Venezuela. It's going to be a huge crisis if we comply with shutting these businesses down, these small businesses down.
They are made in China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These masks are made in China. What's wrong with this?
There you go. There you go. So I went ahead and I got Dave Brown.
How much stock does Hunter Biden have in that?
I don't know, but I'm trying to get down with it now. I mean, everybody's talking about they got to get rich in China. I'm trying to get that 5.7 billion. I give Kathleen, the sheriff, 20%. The Biden, Joe Biden amount. I take the 10%, and we can all be good. Look, we could be right there with the Gates Foundation. We get on the next island over. How about that, everybody? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, Sheriff Songer, you were talking about people defending these unconstitutional mandates, laws. So I wanted to read to everybody the post from 4 days ago from the Skamania County Sheriff, Dave Brown, directly from his office. Good man. And he says here, I'm sure many of you are struggling with the governor's decision to once again lock down businesses and curtail the economy of the communities of Washington state. Some questions have risen regarding enforcement, especially related to gatherings in your own home. You should know that the Skamania County Sheriff's Office takes no interest in the enforcement of the mask mandate and gatherings in the privacy of your own home. And we will not respond, nor will we field calls related to reported violations of gatherings in private homes or the non-wearing of masks. We will continue to serve the community and keep the peace when and where necessary. I wish all the best of you this Thanksgiving and upcoming Christmas seasons, Dave Brown. And if you look at these comments, here's one from Andrew Nichols, a socialist in town. It's pretty gross how quickly some of you are willing to give up your Fourth Amendment rights and speak. Oh, he's not a socialist. Sorry, Andrew. Andrew Nichols is a patriot. Sorry. It's pretty gross how quickly some of you are willing to give up your Fourth Amendment rights and speak against our sheriff for trying to protect it. And then there's more. It just goes on and on with, there's some really good comments supporting the sheriff, but there's also people here that have no clue what democracy is or what the Constitution even says. In fact, there's this one guy, James Blue Weaver. He just goes on and on. He calls Sheriff Brown a cultist. We're all cultists if we are defending the Constitution. We're white supremacists. We're Nazis. We're idiots.
Oh,
It just goes on and on. So, but I'm really happy to see a lot of the support for Brown, because this is what we need. And I just said on there, this is not a time to be questioning his leadership. This is a time to stand behind your sheriff, because if you don't, there's really no one in your community to stand up for your constitutional rights, in my opinion.
And Sheriff Brown, I have the highest respect for him. I know David well. He's, of course, borders our county, Skamania, Klickitat County. But hats off to the sheriff. You know, when I came in today at the office, we have a church right across from the courthouse here. And I came in, there was probably 15, I'm ballparking it, maybe 15 people there. And oh my gosh, that was an outdoor gathering, you know. And really, they were singing gospel songs, and they had the minister standing there, and the people singing didn't have a mask, and so I'm sure that Governor Inslee would just have a fainting fit over that. But when I seen that, I walked over to them, and they kind of looked at me, like, what, you know, what's going to happen? And I said, I want to thank you people for being patriots, and this is what freedom's all about. Have a good day.
amen to that.
Turn
Amen.
around.
Amen to that. It's looking like there are some soft sheriffs that are kind of in cahoots with
Yeah,
Inslee and Brown.
yeah, and that's too bad, Kathleen, that, you know, each sheriff has to be their own person. You know, either he or she, depending on who's the sheriff, they have to make up their own decision. They serve the public that have put them into office, but their primary duty, though, and they don't want to lose sight of this, is to protect the liberties and God-given constitutional rights of the individuals of their county. That's primary. That's even overthrowing bad guys in jail at times. And although we do that too, and I think we do a good job, but nevertheless, the primary duty of the sheriff, because he's the elected official of the people of his county. The governor's not his boss, as much as he'd love to be, but he's not. And the state attorney general is not his boss. The county commissioners is not his boss, although they do have some control over the sheriff's budget. But they certainly cannot dictate to the sheriff how he enforces the law. And you get right down to it, the president of the United States is not the sheriff's boss. The only boss the sheriff has is the people that put him in office in his county. And people don't understand that. I had a call last night from, it was a liberal that called about 11:30 at night, because I put my phone number out there. I don't care if they're liberals or what they are. I'll talk to them. I'll debate with them. And anyway, she was real upset. I was going to cause people to die because they're not wearing masks. And we had about a 45-minute conversation, and I kind of think she might have had a wine or two. Kind of sounded that way. But in any event, some heated moments got going there about the Second Amendment and wearing the mask and all that. But she even told me that she is a Second Amendment person, so she can't be all bad. And so anyway, we ended the conversation. She wanted me to come out and say, I'm asking people to wear a mask. And I said, I will not do that. That's an individual decision. So I said, whether they wear a mask if they want, go for it. If they don't have to by the Constitution. And I said, you know what, ma'am, we're going to have to agree to disagree, because I will not do that. And she says, you know, Sheriff, I didn't expect you to answer the phone. So at 11:30 at night, right? But but it's good to have those conversations. They may still hate you after the conversation, but they know your position. And your position, in my opinion, when you're protecting people's constitutional rights, is the correct position to be taken as an elected sheriff. And I encourage other elected sheriffs to do the same.
Sheriff Saunders, I got to say, you are a good man. I mean, you keep it straight and down the line. And you know, you're right. It is your decision to wear a mask or not, even though, you know, it's an airborne virus. But that's okay. You got to work. Listen, you can choose if you think that that virus has not gone through your system and you haven't inhaled it, exhaled it. That's okay. And Kathleen, when you went to that market, when you touched all those objects there and you breathed, do you think they put it in contamination? Did they quarantine it?
No.
Well, during that time, I had decided that I was going to stop being so afraid. I mean, in the beginning, out of good faith, when I saw the people dying in China, I thought, wow, this is really something. And I do know they have some serious bioweapons. I did a lot of research with Cliff High and Pat Price. They know, you know, there is, and they may just well release some other type of bioweapon. And really, you know, we will see the bodies dying. I don't know. Or is this just something that is targeted for, to get the outside fringes off the, you know, the payroll, like the old people, sorry, but the old people. And I mean, I'm not saying you're old, I'm just saying, but you know, like the elderly people, we do know that Governor Inslee basically forced the hospitals to take people out and put them in the elderly care who had COVID.
Yeah.
And they had a breakout of COVID. And now, you know, it's true.
And he ended up killing people.
He's
did.
a murderer. He's a murderer, right? Y'all
Governor
need to arrest
Inslee
the
has
governor.
murder, has blood on his hands, and so does Kate Brown. I mean, she gave, this is off topic, but she gave the kill order for Levi Finicum. I know that.
Well,
So, you know, okay, so where do we stand between the state troopers and the sheriff? Is the sheriff,
Sheriff is the top law enforcement official of the county.
Right.
Now, here's the difference between Oregon and Washington. Oregon is the state police, and Washington is the highway patrol. Washington, by Constitution, there's a highway patrol. Their primary duties is traffic enforcement, traffic safety. Now, that's not to say they don't help out, back up with deputies and have their own small drug unit and things like this. They've been very helpful. I've got friends that are state patrol, outstanding people, and we work with them closely every day. But when it gets down to who has the authority in the county to enforce the law, the sheriff is the top law enforcement official, period. You have authority throughout the cities, even though they're incorporated cities or unincorporated cities. And here's the thing that, you know, if we were to have, for example, and thank God we've got, in Goldendale, we've got an outstanding mayor and stuff and police chief. And I've talked to them and they've come out with the same order that I did, basically. If there was a riot, for example, in the small town of Goldendale, hopefully that's unlikely, but it's a possibility. We're 2 hours out of Portland. And we've had Black Lives Matter demonstrations in our county, 4 of them. So far, they've been peaceful because they were told if they violated the law, they would go to jail. This is not Portland, Oregon. And if need be, I'd use fire trucks with high pressure water hoses. So we would get it under control within about an hour after it started. But having said all that, you know, it's just a bad situation. And so if I was sheriff, a riot started down there, and if I had a mayor of that particular town, tell the police chief, stand down. Do not get involved. Now, see, the police chief serves at the pleasure of the mayor, can be hired or fired at will. Sheriff does not. Sheriff serves at the pleasure of the citizens who elected him to office. I would go into that city and take over and put that riot down. And I don't know whether some sheriffs are reluctant to do that in these major areas. And of course, I don't know how some of these other states, how their constitution reads in regards to the sheriff's powers and stuff. But the sheriff in the state of Washington is the top law enforcement official, period. And
Okay.
we take.
Well, that's, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, that's fine.
Okay, well, I was just going to say that Lauren Culp, since he's the police chief, his position was pretty much canceled. So they could do that, but they couldn't have done that if he was the sheriff.
Correct. The only thing they can do for me or any other sheriff, elected sheriff, they can do a recall and they could try to get enough signatures to get it on the ballot so that the people will vote to recall you out of office. Or they wait till my term's up and then that's a scorecard, whether the voters will reelect me or throw me out. So there's two ways you can go after the sheriff in that legal process. But in the meantime, the sheriff is and I believe all sheriffs are constitutional sheriffs, or should be. I'm very proud of the fact that I got the 2019 Constitutional Sheriff of the Year. Very proud of that, and I believe there's other sheriffs, of course, that have that. And I'm hoping that more sheriffs step up and support the Constitution, their oath of office. On Lauren Culp, what was bad about that, the mayor, who is a hiring and firing authority, support Lauren. In I-1639, the anti-gun bill, and then Lauren wrote the book, American Cop, and so forth, and then ran for governor. The mayor was behind Lauren, but I didn't know this until later. 4 of the city council people did not like Lauren because he took a stand against I-1639. So what happened when he was out, he took a leave of absence, and the sheriff's office was going to cover for about 90 days there, I guess, while he was out campaigning, right? Well, in the meantime, the city council called a council meeting, I heard during the day, which is normally not common. And anyway, had their council meeting and agreed to contract with the sheriff's office and do away with their police department, knowing that the only one that could fire Lauren would be the mayor, and they didn't fire Lauren, they just did away with his department, so he was out of a job. So that's how they got around that. Having served as a police chief in Elko, Nevada, I can tell you that police chief's job, people don't realize this, I don't think, is much, much more political than an elected sheriff. People see, well, the sheriff runs for election, so, he's got to be a politician or he's elected that way. True, but that police chief, and you see this in these major cities, by the way, Portland, Seattle, when that mayor or portion of the city council tells that police chief to stand down, if that police chief said, no, I'm going in, we're going to put this thing down. Chief, pack your stuff, get out of the office. Next person step up and want to follow that order. And that's how quick it can be done.
I'm muted, sorry. That makes a lot of sense because when I went down, I've gone down a couple times to Portland. And when I went down there this last time, right as I was getting there, the Portland Police Bureau was coming out and checking for their hand weapons permits on the Patriot side. But they weren't checking Antifa, and there was Antifa had a couple. They were in black bloc, and there was some brandishing of open carry on the other side. And I walked up to one of them and I said, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" And they wouldn't even look at me. They wouldn't even acknowledge, the police did. So then the next day, the next night, or maybe that night, was it? No, Friday night. So that was Thursday. So Friday night, Antifa and BLM split into two groups. One went one way and one went the other way, and they did massive damage on the east side of the river on Sandy Boulevard. And the police chief, Levitt, or whatever his name is, he's African American. He must be really under the screws because he's soft spoken, but he just gets up there and he was tweeting and he was saying, oh yeah, there's a lot of damage and it's bad and it's not protesting. This is violent behavior. Yet 0 arrests.
Yeah. See,
go ahead.
He's marching to the mayor's tune. I can assure you that, or he won't be police chief very long. And the other element of all that, then you got the prosecutors there who won't prosecute the cases. They're cutting these people out of the jails because once they're booked in, there's a bail set, whatever that case might be. But I can guarantee you the prosecutor is having a say-so on these people getting out of jail. Now I heard the other day that there's about 1,000 of them that had been booked in over a period of, 9 months they've been doing this, or whatever it is, in Portland. They're not going to prosecute them.
What?
Yeah, exactly. And they're being arrested and then getting back out on the streets to do their night's riots. And why are we talking about this? Because it's keeping Portland small businesses closed. They can't open. People can't come down and shop. In fact, Portland Police Bureau told me on August 30th, the morning, just the night before Jay was shot, right? He was shot. And then the next morning I called and said, God, I got in that rally and I felt really unsafe. They said, it's not safe to come down here. Don't come to Portland right now. And I thought, wait a minute. Where's the sheriff, for one thing? Where's the police? And why can't people open up? And why can't people enjoy downtown Portland anymore? What is going on? So Sheriff Songer, we've got the Portland police chief, but we've got the Multnomah County sheriff. Where's his part in all this? What does the sheriff need to do to get this under control? Is it his job?
Well, again, I'm not familiar with the Oregon State Constitution, but I would say if that was in Washington, the sheriff's job would be take over and go in there and resolve that. Now, and I'm not beating up on the Multnomah County Sheriff. I don't even think I've met the gentleman or lady, whatever the situation is. But so it's up to each individual sheriff on the action they take. If they're really political, they might not take no action if they're worried about their political outcome. I think I can only speak for myself and people like Sheriff Brown, Dave Brown out of Skamania County, Sheriff Bob Udell out of Yakima County. Those individuals, yes, they have a career in politics, whether we hate to say politics or not, but we do. We're elected. But they also put the Constitution first. So be it on your career. The Constitution is what carries the day. And if you uphold the Constitution, it's my belief that most common sense people out there, voters out there, are going to see that. And they'll give you a lot of support because you care about them.
Sheriff Songer, I'm in D.C. We don't have a sheriff here. I mean, I know the statement that you can say, you better get the hell out of Dodge, boy. But yeah, I mean, this city, we have the United States Marshal Service, which is basically the sheriff system, and they do nothing. Literally, it was like burning. Okay, let me walk over here and make sure these prisoners are taken care of. The mayor is telling the police chief, Hey, guess what? Apologize and wash the feet of these Black Lives Matter people and hey, pray to them too and say I'm sorry for the sins that I've committed against you, Lord. And it's ridiculous. And we got this mayor here. Uh, there's 1,000 words I can use against her. That has not one bit of legitimacy when it comes to. They've been carrying this lie. DC would be the 51st state. It's a federal city. Come on, people. This is federal land. It ain't happening. But we got this mayor here that thinks that she's the law. It's just like as bad as New York when you were talking about what can we do with those people coming in and harassing the business owner. Well, guess what? New York did it years ago, and believe it or not, they did it with the waste management company. Hey, you got to have your trash taken out, right? So what we're going to do is we're not going. Listen, how about this? It's basically strong arming a person by making them to comply. I mean, it's almost at the point where it's like, excuse me, you want your trash taken out? Well, you got to wear a mask and pay a little tribute. And it's a shame. I mean, they're making this country lawless. They're taking our Constitution and throwing it away. They're making business owners struggle beyond the path that they need to struggle if they allow. Listen. The U.S. The president at the time of Rodney King sent troops in to break up the riots in L.A. Why don't we send troops in and shut this crap down now? I know why. Because our president said the governors have the responsibility. Each state has a responsibility, and that's the beautiful thing. It's the law of the land. It's the way it goes. It's the stacking of the books. But the problem I have, again, is there's going to be a point when it's going to be the citizens stand up. And they're going to get tired. Listen, I can't go downtown Seattle to go get my kid a cake from my favorite bakery. Or I can't take my girlfriend to the movies. Or me and the wife, we can't go sit beside the water and look at it like we used 2 years ago. But the bottom line is this. You're taking my rights away from me. But it's okay you take my rights away from me, but I can't take no rights away from you. I mean, quid pro quo, no balance in the measure. The governor needs to have a common sense change of mind and heart.
You're spot on, Daryl. Spot on. Yeah.
So, Sheriff, so you're telling me, and these millions of readers and readers, millions of listeners here, that the sheriff could instill law and order in downtown Portland. He's got the authority.
If he has that authority under the Oregon Constitution.
Right.
Okay. So we just don't know that.
And I assume he does, but I don't know that to be a fact.
Okay. Well, that'll be some research for me because people want to focus on the PPB, the Portland Police Bureau, but we really need to go and start putting pressure, I think, on the sheriffs that aren't doing their job. So say Vancouver, Vancouver's been hit a couple times by Antifa BLM. The real scenario should be Clark County Sheriff calls the fire department and says, I think Antifa BLM are going to be coming to town. We should probably get the fire trucks lined up just in case. Right? I mean, doesn't that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense to me. Of course, I'm an old timer, but it makes sense to me. And I often wondered why that hadn't been used in Portland down there. I mean, their justification in putting out the car fires and building fires. If they happen to end up spraying a few of the Antifa and Black Lives Matter people there, then I guess that's the chance they take. However, I was told that the reason, and I don't know if that's, I have to research this, but the reason they haven't come out with water hoses is inhumane, and that if you go back to Martin Luther King's days and on the marches and stuff. Fire trucks were used, if you'll recall that. And that might be some of the reason why they don't come out with the fire trucks and stuff. But
But it can hose down the street.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it makes and it's non-lethal. I mean, it isn't like you're shooting people, it's non-lethal. And you can, I imagine if you soak them down real good, take a little fight out of them, they just wouldn't be interested, especially in October, November, and December. It get a little cold out
Cold
there.
out there.
And
Yeah, I mean, something has to be done because these, I look at their Twitter accounts, and in fact, right after Saturday morning, or it was even Friday. No, it was Friday night that they came in and did the damage on Sandy. And then so Saturday morning, yesterday morning, I went on their Twitter account and found a bunch of them saying, "Oh, I was there," and I didn't get arrested. So I took a screenshot of it and I sent it to the chief of police. I said, "Here's some intel for you." I found it. It took me like 3 minutes to find it. Why can't you just track these people down and get them off the streets? Because why? Again, because they want to shut America down. They want to shut small businesses down. They want to bankrupt us. They want us weak. They want us tired and hungry so that they can come in and do pretty much whatever they want. And so we have to protect our small businesses. Your downtown area, everyone, is your ticket to your life, your security. Because if you don't have your small businesses downtown, your town is going to go bankrupt. And then, which takes me right into Governor Inslee just proclaimed $135 million to go to Washingtonians. And my question, well, Pat Price's question was, where's the money coming from?
good point. It'll come from the taxpayers is where it's going to come from. Yeah.
Well, Lauren Culp, during his campaign, said there's too much spending that's been going on in Washington. Where is Governor Inslee getting this 155 million? Is it a loan from China? I mean, we just don't know where he's getting the money.
It's a private donation. Private donation from the Gates Foundation.
Maybe so. Maybe so. You know, but that's why we go from Antifa BLM to small businesses to the COVID lockdowns. It's all generated, in my opinion, to keep small businesses down and get them bankrupt so that they have no power.
Exactly. I'd like to, it's just a in fun bet. It's not serious, but I'd like to make a side bet that at the December 14th, when Governor Inslee's COVID-19 restrictions are supposed to be done, what do you bet he extends it?
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll bet you $5, Sheriff Songer.
I can't gamble in uniform.
I got
Oh,
Chinese
that's right.
mask.
I can't really either. Oops. I'm just kidding.
I got Chinese mask.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, so did I say China? Oh, sorry.
Well, you know, I get infuriated sometimes because I like to have a cup of coffee in the morning and I like to do a little bit of research in the morning. It's kind of something that I've done. And when I was commuting to Beaverton, I do my truck talks. I get all this information and then I just like say it. So it doesn't take long to get into the research and find out exactly what's going on. And I just can't imagine, I can't even fathom why there's so many people that wear masks that say Biden and Harris.
Oh my God, don't do that to me. I wonder who gets the money for that one too. China? I'm sorry. Did I keep calling that out?
Pat Price saw someone in a local business with sequins on it. I mean, this was a real ordained mask. And I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, I don't understand how they cannot connect China, CCP, to the Rothschilds, to the New World Order, to the contact tracing, to all this stuff, to your no freedom, zero freedom. I mean, Do you want to be able to have them, you know, drag you off a street?
Well, that's the thing, Kathleen. What they're doing right now is conditioning people to give up their liberties and give up their constitutional rights, the right to religious assemblies in the church, the right to uh, live freely and prosper through businesses and stuff. They're conditioning people that government is here to help you. And you're going to be guilty of killing people if you don't follow exactly what the government says. And it's sad, but that's where it's headed. And people seem to be, it boggles my mind how easily people fall into that. Because I think they've been so successful brainwashing people on how serious this is that people are just scared to death. And what's the big deal staying in my home? What's the big deal wearing a mask? Well, the big deal is they don't see it, but the big deal is that's one more thing of their liberties are given up. And eventually, it won't just be that, it'll be a lot of other things that'll be mandated of them. And they'll fall right in line because they're conditioned to it. And that's the scary part.
It's very scary because it's right down, it's just right around the corner for us. And if we all just comply with all of this stuff, when I was reading, okay, you could choose package A, quarantine for 14 days, or you can choose, package B, and you could do all this stuff, but it's still, if you do all of that, you still could kill somebody if you're in the same room with them with the mask on for too long.
Yeah.
And so, they've got all of this. They're so busy. The Khazarian, the mafioso, the Zionists, they're just really busy 24/7, 365 because they want us locked down. Of course, they want us all locked down. If you want to see, listeners, what we're talking about, and you're a little new to this, just check out what the Chinese citizens have to go through. They are not allowed to be without their phone, really, because that's their tracking device. And what they want to do is they want to take that tracking device. They don't want you to be able to have something. They want it inside your body. They don't want you to be free. They want to be able to track you. They're going to make money off you. They're going to know what everything you're doing. They'll be able to control you. That's what we're facing right now, everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, people say this is the extreme, but I'm sorry. I've been around the world, guys, and I got a question. Has anybody heard that there was a battle or war going on in, how about Azerbaijan or some nation like that, and then Russia and them sign a accord to keep the New World Order out their nations. Is that sounding kind of interesting that Russia and these other nations are signing peace accords, treaties to keep the New World Order out their country, but we got it coming in our own? These socialists, I'm sorry, I'm liberal today. Oh, hold on, tomorrow I'll be a communist, and the next day I'll be a socialist. I float the boat. I mean, these people are insane.
Yeah, right on.
I mean, I hate to say it. Look, people, you either an American or not, or you want to be an American or not. Do the right thing. There are laws for each thing that we do in this country. There is no law to go breathe fresh air, and that mask cannot be bound to us. You got no law that says I got to wear a mask. This is not China. You can't make me do it. Just be honest with yourself. Can I make you use the bathroom? Can I tell you got to go cook me dinner? No. So hold on. If I wrote a law that said it, maybe you would have to follow it. But I know you complain to your sheriff and your police department because I am now doing indentured slavery or servitude, whichever, make you work all day. That's against the law. But hold on. You got governors out there telling you hey, you have the right to assemble, but you have to wear your mask. And hold on, if you don't wear your mask, which is what, it's not even part of a uniform. God, these people are crazy.
Exactly. It sounds to me, Daryl, like they want us to go virtual, internet, AI, artificial intelligence, the whole holiday season.
So they can track us and they can know what's going on. To be honest, look what happened during the end of the Obama administration when you discovered that the NSA had all of these records, phone and video records of us, and they were getting ready to transport to the CIA until Trump took office, and he said, "Hell no."
Yeah, and you said something real important about um oh gosh, I just lost it. You should continue on until I
Yeah,
remember.
because I'm just a little hot right now, and I know the sheriff is hot. I mean, he's a good man. He's constitutionalist. You can't argue with that. I mean, if it's not in the Constitution, it's not in your rights. Then guess what?
Oh, no.
That's the way it goes.
I know what I was going to say. So, for years now, we've been seeing the Chinese people wearing masks
Yep.
because they unleash this stuff on them, the SARS, this bioweapons over and over again. So I think they're using China to help condition us for sure. But look how they have conditioned Chinese people, because now they're saying that wearing a mask is like a cultural thing. No, it's not a cultural thing.
Oh
That
no, she looks so sexy behind that mask. Mm. No, it
you
don't
know
work
the
that way.
the wearing of a mask is not a cultural situation, but they have made it that way because they have scared the Jesus out of people. And I wanted to say I agree with you about the mask wearing too, Sheriff Songer, because when I went to White Salmon, they were pretty hot on the mask situation there. They're pretty big on it. In my county, in my town, there's some place, quite a few places you can go without a mask on. I don't know now because they're ramping it up. It's a big fall surge coming up, right? But I talked to a woman in Bingen, and there was a whole family that I guess supposedly had died of the COVID. They were First Nations people. So whenever you go, like 4 or 5 or 6 family members in Bingen, I guess is what she told me. So I think communities that have First Nations or Chinese people, or some of these other people that have this ACE2 they're more high risk. If they've had any deaths, the community is going to be more strict with these mandates, even if they work or don't work, because the CDC and the health authorities taking it upon themselves to give us all this stuff, so this information. So I've just decided that I would, like you, be very compassionate with the businesses and pick my battles, not be so defiant with that whole thing. However, I don't want it to be a cultural thing either.
Exactly.
Sheriff Songer, I got a question for you. I mean, with the way they're doing the mask and all this stuff, do you honestly think that this bioweapon was made just for making Americans meek followers, indoctrinated to wear a mask? Or do you see a bigger picture? I mean, can you see something from the grand scope coming? You got the years on us. I mean, and you have your sanity. Your mind is clear. You don't miss a beat, as I've noticed. And yeah, you even crack some good jokes. I mean, that was funny. I still crack it up inside on that one. But do you see a grander scheme of things coming about because of this?
I certainly suspect that. I'm not too sure that this virus was an accident. Um, Somebody said, well, that's just crazy. Why, uh, if you recall, Trump just ended up negotiating a pretty good deal with China as far as money, on the trades and so forth. And then all of a sudden, we have an election coming up pretty soon, and then this virus hits. And And there is some suspicion that it may have not have been an accident that was released. And I'd hope to God that it was an accident and not done on purpose. But if there's some benefits politically and everything else, either way, as we can see today, how that's being pushed, how the virus is being used to control people. Uh, and I believe that the virus is a crisis, and the far left is using that crisis to their advantage, and that advantage would be to turn this country into a communist country. And it just happens to be the one that is appears to may be end up being our president, Biden, uh, just happens to have some very friendly and close ties to China. And that draws a lot of suspicions, one, at least in my mind, um, what they have on Joe Biden or his son Hunter. And and of course, China would love to see us go communist, I'm sure. And if they had the right president in there that would help them along that avenue, it may pan out for them. I'd hate to think any of my suspicions are true, but I know I don't stand alone in that. I know there are other people that strongly believe that. Other people, I might add, much smarter than me and much more connected to the high levels of government and so forth. So I'm hoping I'm wrong, but it would not surprise me. I think that had a lot to do with the fraud in in these blue states, electoral states where the major Philadelphia, um, Georgia, and some of these places where I mean, there's just too much evidence that there was fraud in that, and that was no minor little fraud. It wasn't like somebody sent their grandmother's passed away and sent her ballot in. No, we're talking about where they can flip through the computer system, or they can flip thousands of votes. And what I don't know, was it from one candidate to another, from say from Trump to Biden, but wasn't it Philadelphia or one of those states, Pennsylvania? I'm sorry, Pennsylvania, uh, where uh, three of these states stopped counting ballots all at one time, about 8 or 9 o'clock. 3 hours later, they came back on, and there was 160 or 260, something like that, thousand votes, all for Biden. Mathematically impossible. Impossible. And so that tells me that there's no doubt there's fraud in that election. And why is the Democrats pushing so hard to get everybody to drop it and to swear in Biden? Because they know they're dirty. They know that the fix was in, and now it's being looked into. And I can only hope that President Trump and his legal team can actually gain some headway on that. Because I believe in my heart that President Trump was reelected by a landslide. And it doesn't take a mental giant to figure this out. If you watch the rallies, Trump was having people 10 to 40, 50,000 people show up. Biden, 12 people, 20 people. I mean, it was, and Biden come out of the cave, out of his basement 3 or 4 times, went 20, 30 miles from his home, talked to 10 or 12 cars, and the ones that honked at him was Trump supporters, and he cussed them out, basically. And here's a guy I think knew the fix was in. He didn't have to campaign real hard because there was people looking out for him. And of course, you got his cheerleaders is the fake media. I mean, that's like having a bunch of pom-pom girls out there cheering your team on. They're so into Biden that it's ridiculous. But anyway, I'm not saying I'm accurate on my perception on that or suspicions, but I sure have some strong suspicions.
I think you're 100% correct because number one, um, they even found that those voting machines were used in all the socialist countries. Yeah, they did shut it down, and miraculously, a hundred some thousand people voted. Uh, mm. Last but not least, I mean, they say it's all a conspiracy. Yeah, it's a conspiracy that has a lot of factual basis behind it. I hate to say it, but there's a lot of facts behind this one. Um, but Mike, how about this? Here's a good one for you. When you look at the world we're in right now with this coronavirus, do you think that it's going to ever go back to where we were, going to church and having a good time with fellowship amongst our people, where we didn't have somebody tell us we couldn't have more than 5 people in our house, and they had to be 6 feet apart? Um, I'm trying to get over that one. I'm trying to tell somebody how to be in their home. I mean, do I have to wear a mask around my boys? Um, do I have to have a mask when I see my mama for Thanksgiving? I, Hold on. How are you controlling my house?
Exactly. Daryl, I would like to think that we'll get back to what we used to be normal. I'd like to think that. But I honestly believe with the crew that was hoping to be president, Biden, and Vice President would be Vice President Harris, or actually President Harris.
Yeah.
Let's not hit each other. Uh, you know, I don't see us ever getting back to where we was because that's all part of this. They're conditioning people right now to give up those liberties. And honest to God, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see us ever getting back to any kind of normal living that we did, say, 2 years ago. We may gain a little back, but I don't think it'll ever be the way it was. And I hope I'm dead wrong on that.
I'm praying too because, I mean, I'm trying to understand what's really going on is where all I see is corruption, 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 lies, lies, lies. I'm like, Black Lives Matter. I even talked to my mom. My mom says, "Oh, that's just a pun on words. That's bullshit, Daryl. Don't worry about it. It's crap. Listen to it. Listen to the words. It's a media hoax. It's what media does. It creates an imagery so that people think they can rally together around one point of a needle, and the needle is actually dull in more ways than one. I'm like, really, Mom? She goes, yeah, it's all a hoax. I'm trying to understand how you get so many people to go for stupidity. I mean, yeah, stupidity. I'm going to use the word. Go for stupidity instead of going for knowledge and truth. I mean, I thought we were Americans in this country. We didn't bow down to nobody. We stood strong. We fought for this country. We bleed. We die. We die for the families, not just our own family, but the family next door. We fight for what is right for each other. We take care of one another. And now you're just these people are taking this country to an existence that it'll never happen. I mean, utopia will never exist. And it can't exist in this country because we got too many people with too many ideas, and everybody wants to be boss, and everybody wants to be in charge, and you can't get paid because the money ain't backed by gold. What do you have left?
It's true.
So very true. I've thought a few times, okay, they've got a spotlight on America, and they're keeping us real busy with the COVID and the elections and all this stuff. What's going on in these other countries that they already have quite a foothold? The communist socialist regime, the New World Order, marching these people down a very serious socialist communist path, which means basically you have no rights. They can make you just say, oh, you're a store owner? Not anymore. You're going to be working in that factory on 2nd Street now. Or you're going to get that vaccine. Or you're going to just take this card. You have no cash anymore. I mean, that's what's going on. And they want to do that here in America. And where it starts, people, is your small businesses. That's why the title of episode 13 for Shining on the Shadow is, Can Americans Save America by Following the Constitution? And
Yes.
my answer is yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
Boy, we got hot people in the background now. Boy, I'm telling you, everybody's gonna be hot about this one. I'm sorry. This show can make you a little angry. I mean, this conversation is making me a little pissed and making me want to think about things a little bit more differently than I have thought a little bit before. I'll say a little bit before because as a former soldier, I have no time for play when it comes to my country. This man has the shield. He's a sheriff. He has no time to play because he represents this country. And look at Kathleen. She's proud representation of this country. We're all standing up and we're talking about what's going on. And it don't make sense how you let these people take control of you.
Exactly. I mean, I'm here because I'm aligning myself with as many constitutional sheriffs that I can find. In fact, my dream is to get as many constitutional sheriffs or go to more summits and hang out with these men and women, because these people know exactly what the Constitution means. They know what your freedom means, and they're willing to put their lives on the line. In fact, I put a post out, Sheriff Brown's post. Someone said, "So you're willing to die for Sheriff Brown?" And you know what I said? I said, if I was called, because I take this seriously, right? My badge, my posse member, seriously. If I was called to stand with Sheriff Songer or Sheriff Brown, and I got hit with a bullet and I died, so be it. And I said, that's hard for me to say, but my patriot heart will not let me do anything else. And so I think it's really important to get to know your sheriff. I don't know what do you recommendations do you have for Daryl, because he's got the U.S. Marshals, which is the kind of the sheriff's department for the federal. They're federal. What does Daryl do? What do people in?
What I do have a suggestion, and this would fit for Daryl as well as any citizen. And by the way, Daryl, thanks for your military service.
Thank you.
Richard Mack, Sheriff Richard Mack, who is the president of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association out of Mesa, Arizona. I would encourage you to go online, look up Sheriff Mack, president of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, and join. You don't have to be in law enforcement to join. They have citizens that join. They go through a class for him if you want to take the class. But join, be a member. And Sheriff Mack is an outstanding sheriff. He took a case all the way up to U.S. Supreme Court and won during the Clinton administration. And he's still alive today, even though he went up against the Clintons. Anyway.
Body count.
Yeah. Anyway, Sheriff Mack is an outstanding individual. And his goal is, I think it's 3,080 sheriffs across the United States. And his goal is to get at least 25% or so of those sheriffs to stand up and be constitutional sheriffs and uphold the Constitution. And I think that's possible, especially if we get the citizenry involved as a partner in that effort. Because then you go to your sheriff and you say, we need you to be part of the program, part of being a constitutional sheriff. You've already taken the oath to uphold the Constitution against foreign and domestic enemies. And same oath you took, Daryl, in the military. Now, we need you to honor that oath of office and join us as a constitutional sheriff. That's the thing that a group of citizens can go to the sheriff in their particular county if that individual is not already a constitutional sheriff.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. I've met Sheriff Mack. I've met Richard Mack in Snohomish at the Break the Chains of Tyranny Summit. And that's where I learned the phrase, I may not agree with what you're saying, but I will defend your right to say it. And it's been a great line for me to use for, especially with Antifa. I've met several of their groups, and they don't know how to respond to that. It's a great way to speak to these people. So I really, I think I totally agree with you, Sheriff, that it's important to get in line with these constitutional sheriffs. It looks like I'll go and have a talk with the Multnomah County Sheriff and the Clark County Sheriff, because I think that's needed, and see what position they are and where they stand, and maybe they would like to join, decide to join Sheriff Mack's Constitutional Sheriff Organization. Be a good idea.
When you talk to the Clark County Sheriff, Chuck Atkins, tell him hi for me.
I've been meaning to.
We worked together for years, and when I was with Clark County Sheriff's Office. So.
Oh, did you? Yeah. Okay, so we've got a few minutes left. I just want to thank the Global Enlightenment Radio Network again, and Daryl and Katie are amazing, and with the Soma Fusion Mind, Body, and Soul connection, that's Katie. And I should probably do my little ad now. There's a little business in Bingen. It's Summit Embroidery. It's a great couple. It's Gavin Carmichael. I was like, get his name right. Gavin Carmichael and his wife Dawn. They've got a lovely little business. If you want anything embroidered, or you need some graphics or anything done, check them out. It's summitdesign.com. But it's Dawn and Gavin Carmichael in Bingen. That's Summit Embroidery. I told them that I would put that in there for them. Every show I would try to get a little ad for local businesses, because I believe, again, Americans can save America. Just got to follow the Constitution. That's what I think.
Amen.
Well, anybody else have anything to say? I think that we're just about ready to wrap the show up. I want to thank everybody for listening today. Please shop locally. What I was going to say is that look at what they've got. They've got everybody afraid to go out. They have them in their homes. They need stuff, and so they can shop online. I would say put a mask on, or get a younger person, if you're at risk, to go and shop locally. Really try to keep your dollars local, because by shopping locally, you support those small businesses. And because the small businesses are the small business of America, that's what they want to degrade, so that they can weaken America. They don't like commerce. They don't like capitalism. They are against it. The New World Order, the globalists, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Khazarian Mafia, however you want to call them. They're not constitutional. They're not Americans. And we should stop listening to them. That's what I think. That's my mind. How about you, Daryl? Want to say any closing statement?
My closing statement is, if you're not standing with us, you're definitely against us. And I bleed for this country. I die for the neighbor next door. I die for anybody that stands for the rights of the citizens of this country. Outside of that, I denounce, do not believe in, have no idea of what the hell they stand for, because I really don't care. Black Lives Matter, all those socialists, all those commies, everything about anything else, and Antifa. I ended with Antifa because I want to know how much one of those super soldier outfits cost. Come on, somebody send me a message. All right.
Well, let me repeat, and then we'll get a closing statement from the sheriff. That's Celeski, Celeski law firm in Kennewick. The number is 509-735-5683. And if you think that you're being, go ahead, take it, Sheriff.
Well, that's a rumor I heard, and I heard that it's a possibility. It's pro bono, so which would be great too. And again, somebody'd have to check that out. I don't know, but I feel I owe that to the citizens I serve. Is that's what I'm hearing. Uh, I want to thank both of you for being patriots, and it's always comfortable to associate with like-minded folks that believe in the Constitution, that believe in Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, and took God, guts, and guns to make this country free. And you know, God bless all the patriots, our soldiers, President Trump, and I said yes, President Trump, and Vice President Pence, and their families. God bless them, and hope this thing turns out so we'll have Trump for another 4 years. But I want to thank my wife for the support she's given me over the years, and I know that sometimes I might kind of drive her crazy, but in any event, I thank everybody, our posse members that we have in our county. They're citizen volunteers, outstanding people. It's a true community policing program, and our line deputies, our commission deputies, and our reserve deputies, and our jail deputies, and all the staff in the sheriff's office, front office staff. All these people are patriots. They're concerned about the welfare of the people, and that's the way it should be. We serve the taxpayers of this county, and I want to thank them. I don't want to forget that. I want to thank them for allowing me to serve as their sheriff, and they're my boss, and I never lose sight of that. But my job is to protect their constitutional rights. And thank you, Kathleen, for the opportunity, and Daryl for the opportunity to be on today. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Well, the honor sits with me, sir, because you're just one of my favorite people. And so is Sheriff Dave Brown.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this has been a great show. It's enlightened us on what our rights are and what we can do as citizens. I always like to throw some solutions in there. If you have any questions, I'm sure you could call Sheriff Songer anytime. Would you like to give your number out, sir?
Absolutely. 509-261-1833. 509-261-1833.
So if you get yourself in a bind and you don't know what to do, who are you going to call? Call your sheriffs. Oh, your sheriffs. That's what I'd say. All right, folks. Well, time's up. Thank you. God bless everyone for being here. Thank you, Sheriff Songer, and thank you, Dale. Appreciate it. Everybody stay safe, and God bless you. Stay calm, and we're going to get through this. And remember, shop locally. Stay local. All right. God bless everyone. We'll see you around the horn.
And we're here. Okay. Hi, guys. It's 4 o'clock. That means Dr. Lily Listens is on. I've got my wonderful guest, Justin Cardoza, the tragic medium, with me. Let me give you a brief introduction into him. Justin Cardoza is a world-recognized psychic medium consultant and published author. He's been working as a psychic medium professionally for over 18 years and has done consulting in Hollywood and the corporate world. He's not only a one-man show, but half of a successful duo with his wife, Roseanne, who is an intuitive consultant, both of whom can be seen weekly on their YouTube channel, The Intuitive Couple. With thousands of readings under Justin's belt, he's developed a highly tuned, experienced ability to read all energy. Often dubbed the tragic medium, on his weekly YouTube live show, Justin seeks to not only connect people with their deceased loved ones, but to reestablish their faith in God. Let me tell you just a little bit about how I found Justin. So I was on Facebook last October at night, just scrolling through my page, and suddenly it said, The Intuitive Couple, up at the top. And I thought, So I checked it out, and then I heard about their YouTube show. I went on their show, watched with all the other people in chat, and he was wonderful. He was amazing. He was able to give dates, names, times. He was a real pleasure. He's from New York, like myself, so woohoo! Can't go wrong there. And he had a real warm ability to help people with their problems. He was truly compassionate. I was touched. And his wife is a riot. She's very blunt, will tell the truth. I will have Roseanne later on another day because I want her to talk about the feminine power and all the things that she does. But today's about Justin and his work. So, and then in the course of that, he did a Halloween show where my father came through. And I think we shared a couple stories about what my father had done, right, Justin?
Yeah, absolutely. And Lily, thank you so much for having me.
Sure.
It's a pleasure to be here. And yeah, look forward. I'm looking forward to this. I'm going to have some fun here.
Oh, totally. And then over the course of the year, I think my grandfather came through, my uncle, my grandmother.
Many people come through for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, it was really wonderful. For me, it was great because I believe in it so much and I knew you were the real thing. And so I knew the messages were real. So it was really touching. The hard part, of course, as everyone knows, is waiting every week and having to wait with a group of people who they're just as anxious and they, are just in as much pain or, that kind of loving position and wanting to hear from their loved ones. So I can relate to the amount of stress that you have to deal with on your end.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, every Saturday, my wife, Roseanne, and I do what we call a Give Back Saturday. And that's where we give the spirit readings away for free. And I open up my channel and whoever ends up coming through, they come through, they give, a few clues, and it's up to the folks in the audience or, in the chat to go ahead and validate those things as they're coming through. And then as those things are validated, more information comes through. Once I know I have that, I call it a click, like a seatbelt. And I know that I'm with this person. That is usually when the real meat and potatoes of the message comes through. And I think it's a wonderful ability to have.
Yeah, and I think what makes you so unique and also why I think I relate to you so well and why I like you so much, you try to help people get their faith back. And so you've done like you did the Halloween special where we were trying to connect with deceased loved ones. With Christmas, you tried to have like a little Christmas like party. And so people could connect and feel together. Cause as you put it, there's a sense of almost church community with that group. They've grown, they've kind of told people about, you and your work and your wife. And so, and I have to admit, Dom is hysterical. The family antics add to it. I mean, it's definitely a warm environment. So I think people really gravitate to that, and it's a rare thing to see, and it's really nice.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it definitely is a family business. I've got a son that's just as intuitive, and he relays it in a very comedic way. My wife is just as intuitive, but she relates it in a very blunt way.
Yeah.
I am the political one,
right?
Always, because the essence of the message doesn't change.
True.
And the message is that the ultimate message that we aim to convey is that no matter what, love never dies.
Correct.
And that is the ultimate message that pervades every single live that we do, every single reading that we do. So that is just the one thing that really drives us as a family. And it's that knowing and understanding. And, we go on and on about the difference between hope and faith. The two are are interlocked in
Right.
such a way. But there is a difference. Faith is the knowing beyond the shadow of a doubt that something is there without any proof.
Right.
But every now and then we all experience that moment where that faith gets shaken.
Yeah.
Right? We've all been there. And you just start questioning things. And that is where hope comes and kicks in. And my job is to grab people who are on the precipice of hope and about to even lose that, and to grab them and bring them back to faith, which is ultimately bringing them back to God.
And you've done a bang up job at it. As somebody who's watched you for a year, I can attest, because you've really had some heartfelt conversations, and I've been impressed. And, I try to do the same thing with my work. It's just in a different vein. I always do the reading first, and then I kind of point out that, the hope and the faith piece. And then people are always surprised to hear me say that, like, hey, you care about the universe, you care about God. I'm like, it's just whatever you believe in, whatever helps you, cope with your life and gives you that strength.
Yeah. So one of the main things for me,
right,
is that I approach everything from a Christian perspective, right? The rub to that, though, is that so many people have had bad experiences from people who say they're Christian.
Right.
Now, do I know what God is? Does anyone truly know what God is? So whether you call it the universe or God or whatever, the universal truths are still the same. Now, when I do my readings, it's very important for everyone to understand that it's not me that's doing them, right? And it's only the redemptive power of Christ that comes through and allows that to happen, And the problem is, as a Christian, I know that so many people go around touting these virtues, but they lack the one true virtue that Christendom excels at, and that is love.
Right.
Period. And it's loving everyone without judgment.
Correct.
And that is what I aim to bring to the table. And conversion happens only when people experience that redemptive power of Christ. Right. And that is done through various means.
Okay. So tell me about your abilities and how you work specifically with reading people.
So the way that I work, if we're talking psychic abilities, I am clairvoyant, clairaudient, and clairsentient, meaning that I can see, hear, and feel. Right. Many times, and those three things are needed because, just like individuals in life, people have different ways of communicating. Some people are visual. Some people are, more audio, and they need to hear things. But the biggest driver of the main message is the clairsentience. It is that knowing of a feeling that's being impressed upon you, and then turning around and being able to express it in such a way that you help transfer that energy that's being expressed through you onto the person that's receiving the message.
Good way of putting it. Yeah. And so it's great that you point out that it's you give the message and you kind of stay out of it,
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I bring that up because some people don't do that, and it's really frustrating. So when did you first discover you had abilities?
Oh man. So most psychics say, "Oh, I've been psychic since a child." Well, what does that mean, right? I have always been intuitive, but back in New York, you just call it street smart.
Right.
You know what I mean? You avoid your spidey senses go off, and you know how to avoid danger. Well, I didn't really come into the full understanding of what my abilities entailed until I moved to Oklahoma, and that was in 2002. And so I've been doing this now for 18 years. It was a bad breakup, emotionally turbulent time in my life. And now I'm not only having to deal with that change in life, but now also making the change to Oklahoma, right? From New York to Oklahoma, you can imagine.
Right.
And it was that first night that I was sleeping on my mother's floor in her little studio apartment, and just trying to get settled. And I'm laying there and I'm closing my eyes, and for the first time I'm having quiet. There's no sirens outside, there's no police cars, and you could actually hear crickets, which was different. And the silence was deafening. And as I lay there and I closed my eyes, a woman's face from the darkness popped out at me, like right here, face to face. And it's a pale woman with blue eyes. And she goes, "You can see me?" And it freaked me out, man. Freaked me out. I jumped up. What was that? And I tell my mother, I'm explaining this to her, and she goes, "Huh?" And she shows me. She goes, "Does it look like her?" She shows me a picture, and it was my grandmother.
Oh wow.
Who was passed away. Oh man, when I was a baby.
Okay.
Yeah, I had never met her, and so I've always been drawn to the paranormal. So like when I was a kid, my favorite movie of all time was Ghostbusters. I wanted to be a Ghostbuster.
Right.
Okay. I just loved it, and I was always drawn to that. I begged my mom to get me the Time Life mystery books. You remember those? The hard.
Yeah, I remember.
Books? Mystery for the Pyramids. In school when it was reading time, they had old National Geographics. I'd always look for the ones that were talking about Atlantis or the pyramids, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I've always been drawn to it. So I was always aware of mediumship and psychics and things like that. But what did I know of it? Because I'm like, you can't learn how to do this. And so that was the awakening moment for me when I realized, wait a minute, let me try this. And the next day, I began meditating. I've meditated early as a child. When I was drawing, I was an artist, and it's a very meditative state. So I knew the state of mind that I had to be in. Right. And I would get there, and I used to say that it was like getting the thoughts in between your own thoughts. Right? Because they're not yours. Right. And it's the only way that I could describe the clairaudience coming through. Mm-hmm. This was before I knew terms. Right? And I got online way back in the day. I mean, 2002, and it was using a web TV. I went into a chat room, and it was a psychic chat room, and I just said, "Hey, I'm seeing this, blah blah blah," and I started doing the thing, and I was like, "Man, my hands are cold," and someone made me an admin right there. It was first time in there. They were like, "Oh yeah, you definitely got something."
Wow.
And so I would do that night after night. And then eventually, I'd do it through AOL Instant Messenger. And so I've been doing this for people all around the world for a long time, not knowing their names, faces, or anything, and still getting it through. And it just proves that it's not me, that this is something bigger than me. They only come through out of love, because that is the one universal message that they come through with.
True. Yeah. A lot of mediums say that. Yeah, that's very true. So how would you describe the type of guidance you provide?
That, much like readings and everything, it has evolved over time. And the guidance that I aim to provide is I aim to go deeper than just surface level.
Right.
So many times people will come on the live and say, "Hey, is so-and-so gonna call me?"
Yeah.
Or, hey, am I going to get this job?
Right.
Well, those aren't the questions, are they? If we
Right.
stop and take time to truly introspect within,
Uh-huh.
are those the questions that you're asking about?
Right.
So, for example, is so and so going to call me? The
Mhm.
real question that you're asking me is, am I going to find happiness and love?
Mhm.
Well, let's look at the past. So many times people repeat mistake after mistake after mistake, men
Right.
and women alike, because they don't take the time for introspection. Only once you take time for introspection and you start analyzing not just your faults, but your positive aspects, and you get to know who you truly are,
Right.
only then will you find the love that you seek.
So true. And so many people do it the other way around. But yeah, I see exactly what you're saying. So last night you said something great. You said on your YouTube, which was Saturday night, your give back night, you said I should do a whole thing on the rules of my readings. So go for it. Because I know it's on the top of your head, like, and you have it.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that I have started to take for granted, and I'm like, you know what? I really need to just do a video about this.
Right.
So, like, the first rule before, and this isn't just for me; these are good guidelines for
No,
anybody who's thinking of,
agreed.
right?
Yeah, right.
Go into it with an open mind.
Right.
Don't go to a psychic reading saying, look, I want to know this, and then just be closed off
Right.
on only that.
Right.
Right. That's one of the key things. You have to be open and be able to think on your feet, because a lot of times we get tunnel vision, especially in the heat of the moment of receiving a reading.
Right.
Right? It's very overwhelming.
Right.
And you start getting this amnesia, this fog, and it's like later on you're like, oh, wait a minute, that, so many times. That's why when I'm like, hey, I'm getting X, Y, and Z, and people are like, I don't know what that is. I'm gonna leave that with you. Just make note of it.
Right.
It'll come later.
Right.
Every time it does.
Right.
But and you know what? Scratch. That's true. But I think the number one rule that I have is that I only read for people who are ready to hear the message. You've got to be ready to hear the message.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That means that goes hand in hand with with what I just said of being open, right? Because if you're like, hey, if you're coming to me for a yes or no answer, I'm not the guy. I'm not that guy. Period. Period. End of story. Because there are no yes or no answers in life.
Right. I often, when I go for readings, I'll say to them, this is what I think. What are you getting? And I am open, like you said, because otherwise you don't get anywhere, because the life can throw a curve at you and you have to be willing to go with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And it's so, so important. Right. And that's the thing. And another key thing is by being open,
right.
You got to start to think, and like, as these clues are coming out at you, you've got to be able to think, okay, well, you know what? That sounds familiar, but there are so many times, and Lily, you've seen this.
I know. Yeah.
They come through and they're not for you. And somebody's like, well, it's not for me, but that sounds like my friend.
Right.
And this is coming through. So yeah, that's her brother. Yeah, that's so and so. And I'm like, well, if that happens, you have to be willing to go and put yourself out on the line and say, hey, listen. And I always tell them, hey, look, just say this. This is the opening line. Hey, look, I know this sounds crazy, but I, saw this psychic, whatever. I know it sounds crazy, but think your brother came through, your father came through, your mother came, whatever, and then deliver the message that way.
Right.
And by doing that, it really re-solidifies the person's faith who initially got the reading, even though it may not have been for them, and it may not have been what they were necessarily coming for.
Right.
but they were put in the position of even greater importance to deliver a message themselves. And in that case, now they're kind of acting as me by proxy.
Right.
And if they are open to that, they will realize the joy and the satisfaction, which honestly is greater than receiving a reading yourself, when you get to see someone's eyes click,
Right.
the fog lift, and they're like, oh my God.
Right.
Because that's where the faith lies. That's where that redemptive piece lies.
Yeah, it's totally very important. So if it's not for you, like yesterday when you were bringing up the S woman, I thought, man, that sounds like a church friend, but I don't know. I really didn't know. And we didn't get far enough because then there were all these people.
Well, and here's the thing, that ended up being for someone who was on the live.
Oh, okay.
Speak up.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so frustrating.
Well,
So
not everybody's got the self-esteem to open their big fat mouth like I do, but anyway.
But it's one of our regulars, right? And so I think what happens is nobody wants to be that guy or that girl jumping, being the reading.
I know. Yeah.
And saying, "Oh, that's for me. That's for me." Nobody wants to do that. So everybody kind of sits in there waiting. They're looking at everybody else. They're like, "Well, that kind of makes sense." Like, how many times do I see that? And I'm like, "Speak up."
No, I know you are. I know you are.
It's one of those things where it's incredibly tough because essentially what we're doing is a gallery reading, right?
Yeah.
That we've all seen a million times, right? But a gallery reading in person is a heck of a lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason is that people are spread out. And now you can start feeling the energy pull you this way. You can feel the energy pull you this way or this way. Right. Whereas when we're doing it here on the computer, the energy is only pulling us right there to the computer. And so it's like, all right, I've got a list of names and this got to hit for somebody. And then you also have the people who are just watching out of curiosity. Yeah. And you can feel their energy like, oh, wait, no, this can't be. And I'm telling you, you feel it and they grow stronger. And then they get freaked out and they click off. They're like, no, there's something scary about it for them. They're just watching out of curiosity and all. They're
embarrassed. They just can't come forward, and it's it's a personal connection. So, yeah, it is.
So it's a tough road, and that's why another thing that I say is, hey, listen, if this is making sense for you and you're not feeling it and you don't want it to be done this way, just hit me up and we could. Absolutely. On the other way.
Yeah. So providing messages that reach as deep as you do you find them draining?
No. Okay. I find them invigorating.
Oh, there you go.
More than anything, because the draining part is the having to break the walls down for people. Yeah. That's what's so draining on you energetically. Yeah. So if somebody is open to receive, the transmission is easy. Yeah. The raising of your vibration and the raising of your consciousness to that level that's the easy part, making the connection. Right. It's the breaking down of the walls and kind of clearing out the noise. That's where the energy loss comes in. That's why for them, there's always energy loss in having to lower your vibration.
Right.
But when you're raising it, it's invigorating. And so that's why it's incredibly important for people, if they are getting a mediumship reading and they are connected, to respect your loved one's time and understand the amount of energy that it takes for them to come through, because they are lowering their energy vibration to meet in the middle, if you will. And that's draining for them. So think about that. If something is so draining on you, you wouldn't just come through doing that for an associate. No. You wouldn't do that for someone you don't like. That is the proof that they only come through out of love. because you're giving a part
So
of you.
you bring up a very good point. So this was years ago, okay? I went to a spiritualist place and I was getting a reading. It was a group setting. I have an aunt who passed who didn't like anybody. She didn't like me, but she didn't like anybody. She came through and she was very loving. And my jaw dropped when they said, do you have an aunt that passed? And I was like, whoa. I go, yeah, but she's not nice. I actually said that. And they go, yeah, but in death, it's like she sees your purpose and it was all love. She was remarkably positive and helped me at a really crucial time. To come forward with the gift, come forward to do whatever I was doing. So I have to say, sometimes people in death can change their mind and be this epitome of love for you and really help you.
That is absolutely right. That is absolutely right. So that starts to hint
right
on a bigger conversation, and that is purpose and life lessons, right?
Right.
And we all come down with a certain amount of life lessons that we need to learn so that our soul can advance forward.
Right.
Pretty simple concept, I would think, but that's after we do this day in and day out. So to us, it's normal. Right?
Yeah.
So trying to break that down. So when we incarnate here, we've got this list of lessons that we have to learn. Right. And so once our soul learns that lesson, we tick it off and we move on. But here's the crazy thing, that in God's infinite love and infinite mercy and his sovereignty, to decide to do whatever it is that he will to do, right? Those life lessons, even if we don't meet the criteria this time around, we can still learn those lessons in the hereafter.
Yeah.
Which is an amazing, amazing thing, because I have witnessed it and done readings where they come through and they basically explain that part over and over and over again.
Wow.
And so it's an amazing, amazing thing to understand. Now, that's one of those things that's a more advanced concept that you don't want to really let too many people know, because it feels like an out. It could give you an out. It's like a safety net, right? That, oh, well, if I don't get it this time, I could always,
Mm-hmm.
No, we need to make conscious efforts to constantly strive to improve. And one thing that I tell people is that, hey, listen, the patterns that you see in life that you're not happy with, that is tied to a life lesson that you're not getting. And that's why it keeps coming up, because once you get that life lesson down and conquer it, it's gone, because now it has become ingrained in your soul. And so I always use the example of this. You have two people, right? And this is one of the main reasons that we are not to judge one another in our shortcomings, but attempt to try to raise each other up. And this is why. We have two people. This one person here has relationship problems, is constantly in an abusive relationship. This person here, the one with the abusive relationship problems, that's always being abused or whatever, has no monetary problems. It's just a whiz with money.
Wow, that's great.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
This one here, not so great with money, but relationship, no problem. Now they're talking, right?
Right.
This person here that never has any relationship problems constantly gives advice to the abused one. Just leave them. Just leave them. Why are you putting up with this? This doesn't make any sense. It's common sense. It's common sense. How many times have we heard that from people?
No,
The term, hey, look, it's common sense, is a judgment term.
And it's the tone in which it's said. Yeah.
So now, for this person, yeah, it is common sense, because perhaps in a past life they were abused and they learned that life lesson that they are worth more than that, while this person has not. they're going through that lesson right now. On the flip side, this person here who can't manage money or whatever, for lack of just using random things, but this person can. Well, I don't understand. Where's your money going? This is common sense. This is common sense. It's because they haven't learned that life lesson, while this one has. And so we're all at different points on the spectrum, but we're all equal.
Yeah.
There is to be no judgment of each other. And that is where we're going wrong as a human race.
Right.
Period. End of story.
No, you're right. You're totally right. Yeah, I did a group reading, and you relate to this. So I was doing a reading with someone and with another reader, and a woman said that she was an escort service. And I said, she was surprised that we weren't judging her. And I said, there's no judgment here. I said, we've all been robbers. We've all been killers. How are we better than you? You know, I said, literally, let's just go to your problem. Like, let's figure this out. And she was really surprised and touched. So yeah, I see what you're saying. It's a definite, if you can change that perspective.
It's about seeing each other
right
on the soul level.
Right.
And that is the essence of what Christianity is supposed to be teaching. Not worrying about someone's lifestyle, but to accept each other as we come, with love and an openness, and to help each other and remove the hurdles that are standing in their way of getting closer to God.
Right. Yeah, well put. So with the thousands of readings, are there any readings to you over the years that have stood out to you?
Oh man. All right. So there's a few. There's a few. I mean, just on the let's talk surface level first, right? So if we're just simply talking surface level, there is one where I got a frantic call. Well, not me. Roseanne got a frantic call.
Right.
It was about 8:00 at night, and it was someone that we've done many readings for, and the love of her life just passed away. Now, another one of the rules that I have is like, hey, look, you got to give them some time to cross over, you know, and get situated.
Right.
Well, then please just, can you come on? All right. Well, you go over just to kind of offer some sort of moral support. And I'll be damned if he's not there with her in spirit. And so we go in and we sit down, and he's going through these things, and he's giving music to Roseanne for her to validate. And he's showing me these images. And the wildest part of the night is because, you know, when you're doing your readings and you're hyper focused and you're here, you're here and here at the same time. I said, he's showing me that he's sending you roses, like lots of roses.
Right.
I kid you not, the line went like this, and there was a knock at the door. And I said, he's sending you roses, lots of roses. All I'm seeing are roses, roses, roses. There was a knock at the door. Like as soon as I was done saying the line, well, the son goes and opens the door, and it was 24 roses at the door. Somebody delivering 24 roses.
Wow.
Like, wow. Okay. You know, I didn't even catch it. It wasn't until everybody's like, oh my God. And I'm like, what happened? The roses, but you know, like I'm not there. Right.
Right.
So, you know, it was one of those things, you know, trying to think of some others that I've done so many. Now there's another one. This was on a live, and I don't know if you saw this one.
Okay.
There's a young boy that was coming through, and it felt like it was a teenager, like late teens, maybe early 20s. I couldn't really tell, but it was that age range, you know, young man.
Right.
And he's coming through, and a woman validates it, and he's coming through with and he's just being very cordial. And she's like, you know, I don't know, because I think I had just come off of a card reading for her or whatever, and then he just slides right in, and I'm like, who is this young man? And he's like cracking jokes and blah blah blah, and um, very personable.
Right.
And then she turns and she says that it was her son was sitting there, and he said that sounds like so and so.
Right.
And it turned out to be one of these readings that I was just telling you about, where it's
Okay.
a third party reading,
Right.
and he was coming through, and not for the kid's mother, but for him. And his main mess, and all of a sudden the tone flipped. And he told him, it still gets me right now thinking about it, because he came through and he was killed in a drive-by.
Ooh.
And he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But he was coming through to his friend, who wasn't really like a friend, like a best friend, like we hang out.
Yeah,
It was more of an acquaintance at school. But here's the rub. It kind of goes against what I had just said, right? He was going out of his way to come down and thank him, because he was the only one who ever spoke any faith into this young man's life.
Wow.
He was like, hey, man, because they went to elementary school together.
Right.
And, this kid was a good kid, but
Right.
he was from the wrong side of the tracks, from a broken home. No one ever spoke any faith into him. And that hurt me as a father for him. And not even his own family spoke any faith into him or gave him any guidance. But this kid, a peer, would say, you're so smart, you're so talented, why are you doing these things? Come on, man. And so it just goes to show that. And here was the kicker, here was the one that got me, was that he showed me after he passed that his parents, who didn't speak, nobody really cared that he wasn't there. Wow. There was no grief.
That's rare. My goodness.
It was terrible. It was heart-wrenching for me. Because the thing that he showed me was them saying, we knew that this was going to happen. It was only a matter of time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Wow. And so he didn't come through for family. He came through for the one person in his life, a peer.
Right.
Trying to tell him, no, man, come on. Let's do homework together. Let's. And as a father, it crushed me. But it made me incredibly proud of that young man that did that, because he would do that without anyone knowing that he was doing it. He didn't seek praise. He was just honestly reaching out from his soul to this other one, because he saw something that nobody else did.
And this is where that adage that you hear people say, that you got to be careful what you say to people, because every comment counts, and you never know if you're the person that broke the camel's back and the person just offs themselves, versus it could be the turning point and the person could go for the better, could go seek the help, or turn or talk to someone or reach out for someone. So that's why I'm so careful about what I say. People tell me I'm too serious, but I'm like, look, you don't know what somebody's going through.
Well, it's serious business, right?
It is.
Here's the thing. One of the things about reading energy is being able to read that, being able to spot that,
right,
and calling it out.
Right.
Because here's what that is. That is darkness that has descended on a person and twisted their mind in such a way that they feel like there's no other way forward.
Right.
That is when you have to allow your light to really amplify, and you grab a hold of it and say, listen, I know that this is what you're going through, and you allow the Holy Spirit to work through you. You have to, And so that is kind of where I come from when I'm doing my readings. Is I always try to get to that deeper level, because that is where the true help lies, right?
And the shows are proof. I mean, each one, there's always a deep conversation and someone's brought back from the break. You've done this a number of times. I've seen it. I don't get to tune in all the time, but I try to show support to you. But I'm like, wow, here we go again. There's somebody who's like really in trouble and Justin's pulling them out.
That's where I'm positioned.
No, and to me, you're a wonderful gift. The whole setup is a wonderful gift to the person. And yeah, no, it's to me, it's touching to watch. It's fascinating. And it just brings back the faith in humankind. You know, there's people like you and there are others too who try. And I think this is the side that people don't see of mediums, of psychics.
Yeah.
You know, they see all the charges and they see the facade with the avatars, but to see the human side, you know.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because it's become a big business.
It has.
And the problem is that the ones that get promoted
right
aren't really doing any work, are they? Come on, I'm gonna say it because I know you can't.
Well, I can say. I just, right? I'm just saying that there are people. When I got the show, I was like, I'm going to bring people who meet the standard, the ethical standard, because I'm a licensed psychologist for 23 years, and I left it to do this work. And to me, there's certain people who meet the standard, and those are the people I'm going to bring on the show. Not every just Tom, Dick, and Harry. I'll bring people who I think are special, who are really trying to help humankind, people, women, children, everybody of different faiths. I mean, that's who I want to promote and help, because I feel like you guys are a gift. And you can't, as much as people like to say I have my go-to, I find I go to different people for different things. So sometimes you can have several readers that you like to go to.
And you should. Because here's why. That each and every person is blessed with a different spiritual gift.
True.
Right? And so, like me, I'm the tragic medium or whatever. Why? Because my upbringing has I've built up a callus to seeing things that would be troubling to someone else. I can go and read for someone who's led maybe not such a great or legit life, without judgment, without fear, because of the things that I've seen in my life. And so everybody has their lane, and you've got to work your lane. And
so in India they have a saying, oil your own machine, meaning mind your own business. And my parents used to say, oil your own machine, and I would say, it's overflowing, Dad. It would just kind of want to kill me. But yeah, you're right. Work your lane. For sure.
It's like there are mediums that are just mediums, psychics that them as sunshine and lollipops.
I know.
It's all surface stuff that are perfectly happy giving a yes/no answer.
Right.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Anybody who's watching that, who's thinking about that, feels like they have this calling, right? And I do it in quotation points, because if you feel like you're called to it and you don't know, listen, you know.
Yeah.
And if it's just to answer yes and no, or if money is your driving factor, don't do it.
Oh, no, for sure, because that's going to be a big disappointment. Yeah. No. Yeah. You have to have the right motivation, otherwise it doesn't go far. Yeah.
Right.
And you can't reach those depths like you talked about. So you have a book out. It's called And in the End, and that's available on Amazon. What was the catalyst that prompted you to write the book?
Well, what prompted me to write that, it was a while ago. And one of the things that I tell people when giving like private readings is like, hey, listen, especially if they're struggling with things and coming to terms, and to help them with that introspective piece, is to think of their life, to go back to the very first memory that they have, and just relive it in chronological order as best you can, but from a third party point of view, like you're watching a movie.
Right.
So disassociate yourself from the feelings that you saw, that you had at the time, and try to view it like a movie where everybody is different characters.
Right.
You see what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so I realized that, hey, you know what? I'm telling people to do this because this is what I'm getting from, you know, from God as through the work.
Right.
But I haven't done it myself.
Right.
That's where the book came from. And so it's just me showing that, hey, listen, I've done it.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking out of my ass here.
Right.
I've done the work. And so here it is in a collected format. And I know you said that, well, I was kind of hoping there'd be more psychic stuff. Well, that wasn't the purpose of.
No, I understand that. I just thought, you know, I would just put my 2 cents in there.
No, and I appreciate it because
so
trust me, I've got enough of them. I could probably do 2 or 3 books.
You could. You have so many stories and so many things that have happened to you guys that I think. And so a second book is being worked on. Correct?
Yep. Yeah. I'm working on a second one. You know, I had a loss in my life. It kind of derailed me a little bit, but you know, getting back to it. So yeah, we'll be done with it here soon.
That's great. That's absolutely great. No, people are gonna love it. So do you have any advice for people with gifts? And if so, what would that be?
Yes.
Okay.
My advice to anyone with what they perceive to be gifts
Correct.
is number one, to understand that those aren't your gifts.
Right.
Those are your abilities.
Right.
And it's important to understand the difference between your abilities and your gifts. And so with that, it only comes with introspection, right? So my abilities are clairaudience, clairsentience, clairvoyance.
Right.
And those are my abilities. Right. My gift is the gift of discernment, which means that you can tell the difference between good and evil, which helps with when you're doing this kind of work. You want to make sure that anything that's coming through is coming through out of love, right? And that is from the Holy Spirit. So you got your Holy Spirit gifts and you've got abilities. Abilities can be developed by anyone. But here's the thing. Here's how you know, but they shouldn't be, because if you don't have faith. Faith is the key indicator, and that is the driver of everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the difference between being able to truly reach and understand someone
Mm-hmm.
and not. It is the difference between being surface level
Mm-hmm.
and actually getting in and doing the work. So
along those lines, I would agree with you. What I have seen in my own life is that people who meditate have the ability, the gift, and you're right. It's up to them to use discernment, and you know, depending on the individual, they do. But people who pray, there's such a vibration that it can cause them to have it as well, like Padre Pio and others.
mm-hmm.
And to me, it's remarkable. They're given that, and it's an amazing vibration that emanates from the person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll give you an example. We have a dog that's a rescue dog that seems very fearful because I think he'd been hurt by somebody. Right. Well, when my Mexican housekeeper came in, who's tremendously devout and prays all the time and knew I had a gift and confronted me with it, I didn't even say anything to her. The dog stopped wailing. He just put his head down and he kind of bowed to her. And so there was like an energy exchange. Like he sensed that she was really pure. There's nothing to fear. And he just kind of, you know, and for me, that really stuck out because this poor dog has been growling at everybody.
Right.
You know?
And when I say faith, it's really, really important for anyone that's watching this to understand exactly what I'm talking about.
Sure.
When I say faith, I am not talking about religion.
Right.
I am talking about that energy that you are talking of, that the getting in the flow, getting in this oneness with God. What a lot of people call it the universe. People are adverse to whatever. It doesn't matter. Here's what matters: is that you have to get in the flow of creation, which is that state of love. And in order to do that, it takes prayer, it takes meditation, both,
Right.
you know, because they both help you reach the inner recesses of yourself,
Right.
where that spirit and that soul live. So when we talk about introspection, it is moving past the ego and getting into who you truly are.
Right.
You know, and it goes, you know me, I don't like all the different marketing terms that people have out there. And words and terms are just ideas. It's trying to express an idea.
Right.
You know when you are coming from a place of faith. Right. You know when you are being called to do something from something higher. I call it God, you call it the divine, whatever, right? We're talking about the same thing. We're talking one and the same. That consciousness that is outside of us, but within us, and it links all of us.
Right.
Everything. That is the flow that you've got to get into if you're going to be doing this. So you have to know how to. That has to be primary numero uno above all else. And how you get there it's going to be different for everybody.
Right.
But you got to get there.
Yeah. The discipline definitely helps. I'll share this person. So my parents had both prayed and meditated when they'd come on to SRF, Self-Realization Fellowship by Yogananda, and they both were working professionals. My dad was an engineer, my mother was a physician. And they would both, even if it meant 5 minutes at the end of the day or the beginning of the day, that's what they would do. And it left an impression in me. So that by the time I was 30, I was like, I will do this twice a day. I will, because I was too restless. And I thought, so come hell or high water, I'm going to do it. And I did it. And then I really feel like that's what's created this very strong intuition that people come and see. It started then, but we went on. And suddenly at 34, I was like, I know who's going to be at the door. I know, I'm sure that you had the same experience. There tends to be this breakthrough moment at 34, 35 for people. So we have your information about where to contact and watch you. I will definitely put that up on our shows thing on the Facebook page and on the YouTube page. It's Justin and Roseanne Cardoza Intuitive Consultants on Facebook. They have a Facebook page. They are on Instagram at the Intuitive Couple YT. They are on YouTube where they broadcast live on their channel, The Intuitive Couple. Right. I'm hoping people are going to call in. I don't know if people are going to, but I'm hoping some of the, wondering how I can see. Looking on the chat, it doesn't look like anybody's there. But if anybody would like to call in to speak with Justin or have a question or hopefully trying to get like a small mini reading or even a person coming through for you, please call the line and let me get the number for you guys. So there's so much information to give. Where is it? What's on? There we go. Okay. So the US callers can call 1-929-436-2866. The meeting ID is 522-657-2748. And if you're calling from Australia, it's 612-8015-6011. And the meeting ID again is 522-657-2748. Let me give the US number once again. So it's 929-436-2866. And the meeting ID is 522-657-2748. Hey, Daryl, how would I know if people are trying to call in?
Well, the easiest way is I gave you admin on it so that you can see them when they pop up.
Oh, okay.
and you can let them in, or I could sit here and be letting them in as well. But I'm sitting here loving this show so far. I mean,
Thanks
wow.
so much. Yeah,
He's
he's
really
wonderful. He
interesting.
really is. His family's really special.
Oh,
That's
wow.
why I thought the world should know, you know. I know
Yeah.
the world knows already, Justin. I get it, but I'm just trying to introduce you to my corner.
Hey, no, yeah. Hey, listen, man. It's. I appreciate it without a
Yeah.
doubt.
Okay, so he's the host now, and this is wow, this is awesome. Yeah, so I'm hoping somebody like Ramona or Reverend Ed, I have no idea, or some of the people that are regulars on his show, Tracy or Ema. Ima was really touched with your reading yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's hold on a couple minutes. If you need to, this would be a great time to use the restroom if you need to use it.
Come on now. You know,
Oh, you can go for hours. I'm gonna run to the restroom. I'll be wait. Okay, I'll be right back.
I come prepared. So how you doing, man?
Oh, doing great. Loving this show. I think your family is very interesting. And I honestly must say you are really a gift from God.
Well,
Between
appreciate that, man. Everybody is, right?
yes,
It's a matter of us finding what that gift is and running with it, accepting it. That's the hardest part, accepting it and running with it. And so the more of us that end up doing that, the world's going to end up being a better place regardless.
and that is so true. I mean, I mean, your son being the younger version of you and more enjoyable, you know, how because the kids say they're more enjoyable. No, we all didn't have the fun that we had, but but you're right. Being touched by the powers that it's hard for the youth today. It's hard for them to see.
Yeah. I do want to add one more thing too. I know everybody's got personal circumstances and whatever, but I think when somebody has a special circumstance in their life and they're still trying to do this work with the lives, like with the show and it's all production, it's a lot of coordinating. And as we all know that. And Justin does it seamlessly. I do it too. Daryl, you do it as well.
Well, hey, listen, I got to tell you, nothing is seamless on my end. It only seems that way because I have my wife, Roseanne, who kicks my butt from left to right, up, down, and center. That makes me stay on task. And I wouldn't be anywhere near what I'm capable of if it wasn't for her. And
woo! Roseanne. Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. You guys are a wonderful team. And yeah, it's really a group effort. Hey, Katie.
Oh,
if Katie's right there.
hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Are you calling for Justin?
Yes, I am.
Go for it.
Hi, Justin.
Hi, Katie. How are you today?
I is good. How about
Good.
you?
So what's going on? How can I help?
Not much. I hear that you do readings.
I do. So what are you looking for? Are you looking just kind of an overall general
Yeah.
feel of what's going on?
Absolutely.
Okay. Right off the bat, I get this excitable energy from you. You get very pumped about this sort of thing, huh? Don't you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. All right. So for you, like the main things that are coming through is I really feel like there are these, you're destined for these blessings of abundance that are coming through. Because I feel like there's such a loving energy coming from you. And you're seeking the way to transform that into a purpose. Okay? It's really, really important for you to focus on the blessings of abundance are more than monetary with you. Okay. What it's so hard for me to put into words in your specific case, because I feel like you're looking for something. You're searching for something. And you're terribly guarded. You're terribly guarded. And while a lot of people are guarded by walls that they keep up, you guard yourself by constantly focusing on everyone else other than you. Because you feel, whether it be subconsciously or consciously, that the more that you focus your love and energy on other people, right, it's going to prevent anyone from examining you and, you know, seeing things that you don't necessarily want people to see. So those are the walls that you erect are really focused on positivity and pushing it out there. But what I want you to do is take time and understand that the things that you don't want people to know about you are the things that make you you. And it's going to come to a point to where you'll recognize that and accept it. And you're almost there. You're almost there. But I see nothing but good things for you going forward. Mm-hmm. Because once you've got 90% of the game down. And that's going forward from a place of love and all of that. There's only these little things, and I can't see what they are. I'm not probing like that, but these things that just require acceptance on your part so that you can move forward and really achieve the dynamic purpose that is set forth for you. Now, does that make sense for you?
It does. It does. Now, I would like to know where it's going.
So one of the things that I always say is that I am not a fortune teller, right?
No,
The things that I do, like I said, I'm trying to point you in the right direction. But what's great is that with the blessing of abundance that you have going on around you, is that where it's going is ultimately up to you. Right? You are totally in charge of what it is that you have coming to you. But it all boils back to what I said about coming to terms with the things that you have tucked away. Understand?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Yep.
So wherever it is that you want to go, step number one is introspection with yourself. That's number one.
The number for Canadians. Okay, I'll see if I can find. Sorry.
The number for Canadians should actually be in the somewhere on the description of the video.
Right, that's what I thought.
It'll be either up on YouTube or on Facebook, wherever the listener is listening.
Okay. YouTube.
All right. So, am I supposed to be having the waiting room here, or should somebody else have it?
No. You're okay. You're okay.
Yeah, we're seeing you.
Are you seeing the waiting room right now?
Yeah, I'm seeing two people entered the waiting room.
Okay, they may
Oh.
be someone that's calling in. So you have somehow became the host.
Yeah, Daryl made him the host.
So therefore, you can accept. You can just let them in, and they should come on.
All right. Let's see
They're
here.
probably callers that are calling in, sitting in the waiting room, ready to be asking questions for you.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's see here.
Okay.
All right. Hey, here we go. Got
Hey,
somebody.
Justin, it's Nancy.
Hey, Nancy, what's up? How are you?
Not much. Good. Can you do me a favor?
Yeah, what's up?
Tell him to back off, and then we'll go into the story. Because I've been with you guys for what, 2 years,
Yeah. Yeah. You have?
and you've been like I don't know how to say it, but kind of like my rock. Because you've opened me up more to everything. Like tonight, he's been on my back left and right. We got all kinds of orbs again. I went to the grocery store. I felt like somebody was behind me, but there was nobody there. So it's just, I love you guys. And I just figured I'd call in before I have to go do a babysitting job, just to let you know how much I appreciate you guys and what a great job you guys do.
Well, thank you, Nancy. I really, really appreciate that more than you know. And Roseanne appreciates it as well. Because, like I said, we are two in the same. And, we operate a little bit differently, but I tell you what, I wouldn't be near as good at what I do without her. And so but I definitely appreciate the words, Nancy. Thank you.
Well,
And
you're welcome.
as far as he goes, you got it. He's fine. He's just busting your chops,
Yeah, I know, but I figured I'd call because I'm like, Chelsea and I are trying to listen to you, and the cigarette smoke is making me gag, and the orbs, and I'm like, I sent Dawn some more pictures, so I don't know if is her name Lily?
Yeah.
Might be able to see them on your website or somehow through Dom, so that way she can see, the activity and stuff that I have in my house.
Okay.
Yeah, we could get that forwarded on, I'm sure.
Sure.
Yeah, because I think is she also a psychic medium or just a radio host?
No, I'm a psychic medium too.
Oh, that's great. That's
Thank
great
you.
to hear. You're welcome. Yeah, just I bug Justin. Well, I mess with him a lot sometimes, but I just hope that he can show you the videos that I send him because they're mind blowing. I've never seen them like that.
Yeah, we could get
Wow.
that forwarded on. Well, thank you, Nancy.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thanks for calling in.
Yep, no problem.
All right, we got somebody.
Bye.
Hey, have a good one. Somebody else here.
I've never seen them like that.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome.
Hello?
Yeah, hey.
Hi.
Hey.
Well, I borrowed a different phone because there's another phone there, and I was just calling because I just had a couple questions.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether to go about the spiritual route or just to ask currently about a relationship that I have that I feel is like a twin flame dynamic,
Can
where
you
we were together for 4 years.
Is that your computer
Pardon?
that we're hearing?
Oh, it's the other phone.
Oh,
No,
it's
I had to borrow a phone.
Oh,
Should I leave the room?
If you can mute that other phone, if there's a way to do that, so that because there's an echo, so we just can hear you. So Justin can hear you, and then you can ask him your question.
Okay, can you hear me now? Just me?
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I guess at this point, because I've done a lot of personal work, we'll say soul growth and everything the past year, I feel like I'm on a good spiritual thing. Growing up, I will say I've always been very empathic, but it seems like lately I've been more intuitive. And I'm more so kind of curious, like where the relationship's headed. Like you know how it is when you feel someone's your twin flame and you have the, runner chaser dynamics. And we were together 4 years, split for 5 months, been on and off for 5 months. And I've kind of kept it quiet the past couple weeks. And then yesterday he's telling me, just like he said, you know, everything's been going kind of downhill. So any general guidance even would be great at this point.
So with that, Lily, you want to take this one? Like I see in relationships, hey man, if you're doing the so
Sure. Can I just get your name and then I'll zoom in?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name's Karen.
Oh, okay, great. Karen. So here's
I actually know Tracy, and yesterday was one of the second times I've ever been on the show. But she told me tonight to come over to this channel, and I figured, okay.
We're glad you did, honestly. So what I'm getting is that you put a lot of effort into relationships, maybe too much is what I'm hearing. And you need to kind of give yourself some more self-respect is what your angels and what your guides are saying.
And that's what I've been doing the past year, putting myself, and that's what I basically told him. I have to be, you know, self-love first.
Sure. And part of this is that you need to let go of these labels, twin flame and soulmate. And if it doesn't work out with him, if he can't put himself together to be there for you, what I'm hearing is that there's a equally wonderful partner, if not better, because he's more committed, that will come in about 4 to 6 months, provided you stay open. And my question to you is your heart open? Do you think you can do that?
Honest answer, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of feeling, and this person was my best friend. And I've known the family for 16 years. It's very, you know.
I understand. I really do. I just left a relationship where I knew the person 23 years and we were together for 5. And he's just not.
Wow.
He's not ready. So I totally get where you're coming from. But my heart's open. And so I know something's wonderful is going to happen. So my point to you is you can have this. I'm seeing you very happy by about February to April of next year. And I am known for timing, just so you know.
Right. Yeah, I'm just wondering, my thing is I'm just hoping that he can wake up. It seems like he's done a lot of spiritual growth to a point, but he's a little more ego-led than soul-led.
Right. He has a couple of fears he's not facing. And so as soon as he faces them, he might be in a better position. But the problem with that is like no one can control that, you know?
Right, because of free will. Yeah.
Right. So I would agree with you.
And so I'm going to try.
Any other general guidance or?
Yeah, no, Justin wants to jump in.
I'm going to chime in because, you know, I know that, you know, you've been working on yourself and everything, and that's great. Right.
Yes, sir.
The thing that you're really being called to do is pray more. Right.
Okay.
And again, you know, it's this this issue of self-love that keeps coming up for me. And that's where the rub is. That's where the issue is that, you know, you have unresolved issues that you've got to get to, and you're trying to heal from it, right?
Okay.
And I totally see that, and I see the effort being put forth. I want you to pray more, and here's why. Because what happens is you'll be riding along smooth, and you'll hit a bump, and then you'll fall into this depression, and you'll hang out there for a little bit until you realize that you start to and you try to consciously pull yourself out of it. And it's this cycle going back and forth over and over and over again with you. We got to try to catch that fall off point earlier.
Okay.
Make sense?
No. Yeah. I'm sorry. I gotta state my case on this one as a listener from the other room. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. I don't buy into the twin flame stuff. You know that I don't, because it isn't about twin flame. It's a concocted,
my wife, everybody.
It's a concocted commercial terminology. Okay.
Right.
When we are in relationships with people, whether they last a long time or a short time, the most important thing is that if things don't work out, as a person who did this her whole life before I met you, Justin, I always introspected myself because it's the relationship goes sour for whatever reasons. And we as women tend to look at ourselves and say, well, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? It's like when a man cheats, what does a woman say? A woman says, well, was she prettier than me? Was she thinner than me? That's how it always works. Mm-hmm. So yes, introspection is the biggest part of this, but figuring out why that breakdown happened, because there's two people in a relationship, but she doesn't need to worry herself. She needs to introspect herself, but she also needs to understand that it also plays a factor in his part as well. And if he didn't do right by her, then she needs to introspect on figuring out how to get over that. That way she can find somebody who is right for her and not that person who triggered her in the wrong ways or that made that relationship crumble. You need to find somebody who understands you when the world says, oh, you know what? You're a bitch. You're this. You're that. Mm-hmm. When a person like Justin comes to me, when I first met him, he said, you know what? You're none of those things. You're just misunderstood. Wow. It relinquishes everything off of you. If you can find somebody that can say that to you, then that's your twin flame. That's your soulmate.
Right. No, I was just listening. I'm very open-minded. Of course, I'm going to listen to your side too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you better, because we work.
Hey man, when it comes to, she comes off as very strong and very passionate because she believes that, look, she's a strong woman. And I love that about her, and
I'm strong and passionate too. I'm Italian. I can't help that. That's just how it comes out.
So you understand. So the part where what I said to her is that, you're just misunderstood. And I'm sure that's the same case with you too. So.
Well, yeah, my situation was I'd known the family for a long time. I was best friends with the sister for 11 years. He and I were actually best friends. I mean, we clicked perfectly if you met us. It was actually drugs that pulled us apart the last year. So I know that had nothing to do with me, but he can only stop it when he stops. And unfortunately, we had another 3 months this year. Everything was perfect. We click. And then it starts with that use again. And that's when I told him a couple of weeks ago, till you can put that down, we cannot be together. Because I'm on a spiritual thing here. You're vibrating down here, hanging out with whatever. I just didn't know if maybe there was any futuristic things that you saw us definitely or not.
The future of love. Because love is up to each and every one of us. But however, when the devil comes in the form of a substance and a substance abuse, because that is the devil.
Absolutely.
Alcohol.
I've never done anything. Believe it or not, I don't drink, never smoke pot, never touched a drug.
Exactly. And unfortunately, when that comes into play into a relationship, nothing.
Then you become the mistress. So you can't have a relationship.
Right. When it comes into any person's relationship, and not one person, the one who is not the user, always wants to help them fix it. Yeah. And we ourselves around like a dog chasing its tail. And it's thank God you recognize that. But unfortunately, until he is ready to come to peace with his addiction, that's
correct.
The devil on his back that he has to deal with. All you can do for him, this is true, and please listen to this. All you can do for him is pray for him.
True.
Oh, absolutely.
That is all you can do for him, because that is the devil.
And so I don't mean to cut you off, Roseanne. We have two or three people waiting. Was there anything else you wanted, Karen, from Justin or from myself?
I'll ask quickly. I mean, I don't want to monopolize all the time. Is there any spirit message from my son by any chance coming through?
Not at the moment. Not.
Okay. No, that's fine.
feel free to contact me on Facebook. I think at Roseanne and Justin and Roseanne Cardoza, Intuitive Consultants on Facebook.
Actually, Tracy told me that she was going to be contacting us. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well,
and a private reading is more intimate.
Yeah.
And you don't work on a time limit.
There's no time limits. Yeah, that's the one thing.
Right. Well, I'll have to wait till I get a couple bucks. I told her yesterday I only have $6 in my bank account. So until Wednesday, I couldn't contribute. It's not that I didn't want to, because I would have loved to have helped support a family. I just can't right at this moment.
Don't worry about it. It's all good. All right. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to watch the rest of your show, and I appreciate you both talking with me.
We appreciate you too.
Thank you.
So let me go ahead and admit the next person.
I just can't right.
Okay. So who do we have with us?
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Edie from Canada.
Oh, welcome, Edie.
I have a question. I'm just wondering, it's kind of funny that we just left off on where we did, because I hear a lot of people commenting that they love them, they have been so helpful to me. And I know that your name is the Intuitive Couple. And so I guess my question for you is, I guess kind of funny, speaking of twin flames, where do the couple come in? Where do the two of you come in to work together to support each other with a sort of combined support system for others and their soul journeys?
That is a fantastic question. And thank you for bringing that up. Like I've said multiple times, I would be nowhere without my wife, Roseanne. And you guys got a taste of her brand of advice. It's very high tempo, very passionate. Mm-hmm. It's the polar opposite of me, right? And I love that, because I'm just naturally laid back, and she's very passionate and
yeah,
and it works. This is where people. This is what people have to understand, is that there is not one of us without the other. And like I told her, I said, look, we either sink together or we swim together, and it's all that. And so that and the reason that I say that is that it's a bond that goes deeper than just doing business or doing any kind of readings, right? I take my wedding vows incredibly seriously. And here's the thing with me and my wife, right? I remember when we were going through premarital counseling, it was explained very clear to me that going into a marriage is not just a contract, like, social status states, but it's a covenant. It's a covenant
right.
between three. You, the significant other, but most importantly, God. A covenant cannot be broken, right? And I've always taken that incredibly, incredibly seriously. And what so many people fail to understand in today's day and age is that the first sign of trouble, people bail. Mm-hmm. Friends bail. Family bails. Husbands and wife bail. That's the wrong thing, because it's through those troubles, through those heartaches, that love grows. Those are the tests. Right. Just like building a muscle, love only grows when it's under resistance. And so
right, exactly.
I would be nowhere without my wife. We're the Intuitive Couple because we haven't thought of a better name. But back in the day, remember when people used to merge names together? I was like, yeah, we're Just a Rose.
That's great. That's great.
I like that.
Yeah. So, it's really a spiritual bond that we have. We know what each other are thinking and what we're the same. And so, I mean, look, you get one, you get the other, and you never know when the other one's going to pop in. Even though she does it here,
Just like
I
now.
do her all the time. Yeah, I'm telling you.
I love that. I love hearing her pop in with her words of wisdom there, because sometimes it takes another woman to kind of get to a woman's
without a doubt.
perspective. Right.
Without a doubt. And we both bring totally different perspectives, right? I bring a grounded kind of perspective, and then Roseanne comes in and we'll smack you around a little bit, and I'm going to make you feel better about it. For lack of a better word, you have to understand everything that we do is coming from the same place. Mm-hmm. That same place is that place of love.
And it's also
that's so good.
Guides are very much pushing us into the direction of where
we're going.
We're going. Yes.
That's good. I hope that answered the question.
Perfect.
I feel like I danced around it. But
no, that's good. I was just curious because everyone that was coming on kept saying we and using that term, and I was, as a listener, kind of wondering, I see that you have the intuitive couple. So that really answers my question. And I also want to say that I appreciate you taking your time with everybody, because I see that you truly take your time and energy with every person that calls in. And you don't rush along. I can see that you don't rush compared to some other people that I've seen do readings. And I also want to say that I am also a fellow Christian, and I love your message, and I think that you should keep pushing on.
Well, thank you.
And I hope everyone took that away from your message today, that Christianity is about love and not about judging and hate.
Thank you.
Coming from a fellow Christian.
All right. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, and then we'll go to the next person.
I'm going to make you feel good.
So who do we have with us?
Oh, this is Tracy.
Tracy? Oh, hey, Trace.
Yep.
Can you mute
Hi.
your thing in the background so we can? Okay, there we go.
I'm trying to figure out both at the moment.
Okay, sure. That's better. Okay, so go for it.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Actually, I was calling with a very similar question as the last caller, because a lot of people don't understand that whole dynamic, I think, between the way that Justin and Roseanne work together. But after hearing all of that, I want to just kind of say to Roseanne, yo, girl, you should be doing this stuff on our channel, get us some likes. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
My question for Justin is what I would really like to know, as of all the things that he's been able to do, whether it be his abilities, his guidance, and all of that, what do you think that God would be the most proud of you for?
Oh. Honestly, that's an excellent question. And while it sounds so complex that I would probably need I would think that I would need a couple of days to think about that one. But correction, I don't. I think, and again, I am not proclaiming to know God's mind, but in meditation after meditation, one thing that has been shown to me is just my willingness to obey. When I get a message, I obey. I do it. Just like any human being.
I do know.
I may hesitate. I may question. These are very human traits and characteristics. Ultimately, though, I always seek to please God and what my purpose is, because I trust God implicitly with everything. And so that is my guiding light. That is what drives me. And so it may take me a minute, but I will obey. And without asking too many questions, I think. I mean, just off the top of my head.
I think that's beautiful. And I think you've hit the nail on the head with that, because I know it's easier to question yourself, but who would question God and what his intentions are, and he'd never steer you in the wrong path. So
you got to be careful with that one, right? So it's like, I'm not questioning
Really?
wisdom, or I'm not, that's the, it's obeying what you feel that pull to. That's the most important thing.
hmm
So following your
I
divine.
agree. And
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good question.
well, that was an excellent answer, and I appreciate that. Can I just throw one more in there just for fun?
Sure.
Well, and I mean, not everybody might agree with this, but or everybody believes in this kind of thing. But if you could astral project to any time, place, or even a planet, where would you wish to go?
Oh, you know what? I mean, I can astrally project, right? But
And you've been to some
Mhm.
interesting places.
yeah,
But
but
you can't discuss that.
no, I can't discuss that. Here's the thing with that. It's a fascinating question in theory. In reality and in practice, it leads people astray. Because whether you travel to the past or travel to the future, you're missing out on the most important ingredient in life, which is the now.
The present.
And so staying grounded in the present is the most important thing that each of us can do. We need to use the knowledge and the mistakes of the past to help guide our present choices so that we could create the future that we're looking for. Too many of us across the spectrum spend our time dreaming about the future or worrying about the future, right? Or spend our time wasting our time regretting mistakes of the past and longing for the better days of the past. Whether you keep your eyes to the future or to the past, today is getting by you. And so it's incredibly important for us to really, and it takes incredible discipline to really catch ourselves when we're in the process of doing that. It's great to dream. We have to have dreams in order to know where we're going. But we have to use the past and the mistakes and lessons learned of the past to help make decisions today to get us to the dreams of the future. That only happens one way, by staying grounded firmly in the present. Okay?
Justin, I think you answered that just perfectly and so inspiring, and I couldn't agree more.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the call. Did you good? I mean, I don't know. I'm like taking over your show here, Lily. My bad.
No, I think that you answered that amazingly perfect, and I don't think anybody could have answered it any better. And I appreciate your guidance always. And thank you both from the bottom of my heart, you and Roseanne, both, my little soul family, for everything that you do for me every day, every week. I love you guys to pieces, and I'd be lost without you.
Well, same here. Thank you so much. Definitely appreciate it, Trace. Have a good
All
one.
right, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I want to reiterate that, Justin. I really love you and Roseanne a lot, and I feel like you guys are friends or family. Although I realize, you feel that way with a lot of people. So it's I don't say that to everybody. So it's nice.
That. Look, here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I say it every week.
Right.
That if you join us on our Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
right, or on our YouTube channel, which is the Intuitive Couple. Just look for the Intuitive Couple on YouTube.
Right.
Join us every Saturday night when we go live. Click the bell, subscribe, click the bell.
Right.
You will be amongst the best people and the best crowd on the internet.
Yeah.
Period. Bar none. Everyone is so friendly with each other and supportive of each other. And we're building a community.
Yeah.
And so that is where the power of what we do resides.
Yeah.
Within the relationships built amongst each other. And I have to say thank you, Lily, because last night you were the one who kicked off. We were doing the paying it forward chain, right? The donation chain. You were the one that kicked it all off, and it was a great and successful night. And so for that, I have to thank you for being the one to set that off in motion. So thank
Always,
you.
if I can do it, I try.
Yeah, definitely.
You know. So yeah, that's yeah, it does feel good. I hope the family gets the help, and I get the feeling it'll be a very special Christmas season. I know the year has really sucked for a lot of people, but
there's only one way to end it then, right? And that
bang.
Yeah, we end it with the way we want it to end.
Right.
That's up to us. That's up
true.
to every individual to do the right thing. And so, yeah, it's that simple, really.
It's great. So we've got 12 people watching. So I said to them, I said on the Facebook page, awesome show. Anybody want to call in? Because I know a lot of people love to talk to you. Your time is very valuable and precious. So let's see what happens. Because there's Karen, Christy, Roseanne. Let's see. Tracy was there. Let's see. So we'll see if anybody else jumps on.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. So Lily, let me ask you a question while we're waiting on some other people to call in, right? I'm going to flip it. I'm going to flip it.
Go for it.
So let me ask you this.
Sure.
Since you have been doing this professionally for however long,
right?
What do you find to be the hardest aspect of doing this on a daily basis?
Is when you have to give someone news that they can't hear or don't want to hear. Yeah, that's the toughest.
Yep.
Because I kind of wince as I'm saying it, and I do it tentatively and I pray. But you've been there. It's like the person might snap at you or might suddenly leave. Oh, we have another caller. But yeah, to me, that's the biggest.
And that goes back to what I said. Number one rule, you have to be open and you have to be ready to hear the message, right? So.
Right. Agreed. And on that note, let's let this 1918 person. Welcome. You're on the air. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good. And what was your name?
My name is Jake.
Okay. Hey, Jake. How can we help?
Yeah. Yeah. I have a question. First of all, how dare you?
How dare who?
How dare you? It's actually, before anyone kicks me from it, I'm actually his son. I'm the moderator. I'm Dom. Yeah, Dom. Yeah, I just wanted to call in. I figured you guys need callers. You know.
You guys
need some help out there.
So okay, so now you guys have met. Now you're seeing the
Saturday feel.
Getting a feel for the entire family here. You know, I'm the
it's not the same experience if I'm not here. So
I agree, Dom. You make it all technical. You put on the special music. You do the effects on the computer. They're really lucky to have you. You're a big blessing.
Well, thank you.
Totally. You know that, buddy. That's why I was donating. He's my personal consultant. I pay him just to give me tech advice.
Well, you need to be paying Dominic.
That's what I did.
Yeah. So, yeah, so this is the insanity which I operate in. And so like only somebody with an even keel can manage this band of rebel rockers. You know, you've got Roseanne over here who delivers her messages like that. And Dom, he's our producer, director, and everything else. Oh no.
Come on.
And there's the fourth. And so You know, just the one cheesing up FaceTime. But all right, beat it. So this is how this is the mode I operate in. So you know, it's funny. Sometimes people will be like, you know, why don't you require quiet? No. No, absolutely not.
But see, you know, Justin, that's a testament to how strong your gift is or your ability, whichever one you prefer. Some people could not do that. So I hear what you're saying. You've gotten used to it because it's your family and you love them and they're your support system. But yeah, for some people that would be like, whoa, how am I supposed to get it? You know?
Yeah. It's it's different. It's different. So all right. The minute I heard "How dare you," I was like, Jake. Okay.
I know. I was like, God, that sounds a lot like Dominic. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
What a clown.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Well, thanks for calling in, Dom.
Yeah, I have a question for you though. Seriously, on a more important note. So on the back of your shelf, you've got the Mother Mary, your book, the candle. Is that supposed to represent Earth? That little statue the wire sculpture, or am I not seeing something correctly? Yeah.
It's just a thing.
Oh, okay.
Just
All
a
right.
thing.
Just
That
thought-
Roseanne thought looked cool. There's no. I think the most important thing up here though is
Yeah.
perhaps the Dundee Award. No, I'm just kidding.
I thought you were gonna say
Mary kind of reminds me of who it is that I'm working for.
Yeah,
Right?
there's more things that are actually supposed to be on there. Like
Yeah, well,
we
you
always
know.
have the ashtray that's on there. That's my brother's.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because
and-
my brother helps people come through.
Yeah, his job on the other side is he actually helps people who have crossed of like drug overdoses and
Mhm.
crossed alone. He helps meet them and cross them over
Yeah.
to the
Wow.
other
You
side.
could show
So,
that.
you know,
See?
And
so
also
we have
his
a
baseball
candle
hat.
and we got his
Oh.
baseball hat up there. You know, so it's yeah, we've got an entire team behind the scenes that are helping to bring people through. You know. That's what I said. You missed it. I said that was like the most important thing was the Dundee Award. But yeah, this is the kind of thing, you know, it's like we have to break it up with humor and laughter because, man,
Yes.
bringing through messages from spirit and trying to help guide people on such a deep level can be incredibly heavy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you've gotta be able to break that up and you know come through with laughter because laughter is the best medicine on the planet. So
I have a great story along that line. So there's a saying that if you call on Archangel Michael to help with your mechanical stuff, it will work. So whenever my fax machine would not work, this was way back when I was a psychologist. My mother, who would never get that right, who never could remember Archangel Michael, she would say, "Call Lily, call Michelangelo," and I would just start cracking up because, you know, A, it's not Michelangelo, it's Archangel Michael. B, she would say it without fail every time. And it was just the funniest thing ever. And then she's like, well, if that's what it takes. I said, that's what it takes, Mom.
yeah. And so it's like, well, instead of Michelangelo, you'd probably be better off calling down Leonardo since he was the one that had the mechanical capability. You know what I'm saying? You're calling the wrong Renaissance artist there, Mom.
Right, exactly. It's just great. She's a riot.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. All right. So,
Carla May logged on.
Although who?
Carla, she had the best.
Carla. Oh yeah, she had a pretty good. So all right. So back in the
YouTube channel, it's
on
an
YouTube.
isolated.
It's an isolated one, right?
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
check this out. Going back to what you asked earlier, like one
Actually,
of the readings.
ask Carla if she wants to call in because it's fantastic.
If she wants to call in,
Yeah.
Carla. Yeah, if she's there, yeah, you know.
Carla her story is absolutely mind blowing.
So yeah, I mean.
Okay. I'm putting in call Carla. So hopefully she'll see it.
Yeah. That was one of those things where her mother came through. But what was crazy about it was that at the time, This was on a Monday, I
Yeah.
believe. And I was woken up at 5:30 in the morning
Mhm.
by a spirit, which normally does not happen. Okay. I've got pretty good controls on things. And I'm like, who are you here for? And she's like, oh, it's okay, honey. Don't worry about it. I'm just gonna hang out. I'll wait because I had planned on going live on Wednesday that week.
Right, right.
All right, I had it all planned out. We'll go live Wednesday. I'm like, you sure? What's going on? She's like, no. Don't worry about it. You do you. And this is a spirit talking to me. You do you. And I'll wait for Wednesday. I'm just hanging out all day long. Now, it was funny because at the time I was mentoring somebody who was just learning how to tune in, and she was doing a reading for Roseanne, like a training reading,
Right.
and she was getting this mother figure coming in, but none of it was making any sense,
Mhm.
and it wasn't Roseanne's mother; it was Carla May's mother, but man, she just kept like
But all day long.
all day long.
She's on the waiting room. So do you want me to hit admit and let me see if it's her?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
And
Hello?
I'll wait for Wednesday. I'm just hanging out.
Hello.
Hello? Is this Carl?
Hi. This is Eve calling from Canada.
Oh, okay. Hi, Eve.
Hi.
How are you tonight?
Good.
Good.
Who's this?
It's Lily, the host. How can I help?
Oh, hi.
Help.
Oh, I'm so confused. I have
Oh, I'm
another
so
question
sorry.
as I was listening.
Okay, what's up?
Go for it.
Oh, I'm on a lag here. Just hold on a second. Let me
okay.
mute my thing.
Sure.
Okay, so I was listening in, and I came up with a question because it would really intrigued me. But you were just talking with your wife Roseanne about the ashtray and her brother's ashtray, and you quickly brought up his job on the other side, and I was intrigued. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about that. What do you mean job on the other side?
Well, maybe I went a little too far. I said something I shouldn't. Well, all right. So here's the thing, though, right? So just some background. Roseanne's brother passed away a few years ago, and he had a drug problem in life. And Roseanne and I would talk to him constantly. Listen, man, come on, pull it together. For whatever reason, he just it had a hold of him too strong.
Yeah, you prepared me for it.
Yeah, and there was a point where talking with him, it felt like he had just given into it and just said, "Well, this is my life. This is what it's going to be." He never actually said it. It's just there's an energy about it, you know. It's incredibly sad and disheartening to watch someone you love go through this. Well, he passed at an early age.
37.
I'm so sorry, Roseanne.
Yeah. And so it was it's devastating, right? Obviously. Even though doing what I do, I know where they're going. I know what they're going to see and what they're going to go through, and to an extent, obviously, I'm not all knowing. I'm not omniscient, but Roseanne would say, "Just check on him. Go check on him,
Well,
please."
actually, you gave him his last rites.
I'm the one who gave him his last rites. That's neither here nor there, right? But okay. Well,
It's important to me.
okay.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm just trying to get to the question. So after checking on him, he finally came through. I'm making a long story short here. And, talking with him, hey, are you okay? Oh yeah, no, I'm good. And he said to me that he helps people cross over who have passed from drug overdoses and who are alone and don't have any.
Wow.
That is what he does. He's one of that people who may not have a loved one on the other side that they can connect with. But he's blessed with this ability because he understands them, because he went through it, and he helps them cross. And it made me realize the enormous love and the enormous
Wow. Yeah, that's
grace
incredible.
of God.
Yeah.
That even though we in the flesh don't understand why people are going through such hard times, we are not God. And we don't understand the sovereignty that God has. We can't see through God's eyes. And so I realized that his whole life was a training mission to help him achieve this ultimate goal for God, to help people come back to him after they cross.
It reminds me of like yeah, that's incredible. Thank you for explaining that to us all. But I have a wise friend who once told me that it's important to pray for people who can't pray for themselves. And that story is incredible. It reminds me of God's, like I was always taught from childhood, and it's only recently become more apparent to me that, God always works everything for good. Even though we're kind of in this worldly, sinful world, he can take everything and use it for good. And here he is on the other side, being that person who's, praying for those who can't pray for themselves on the other side.
It's important for everybody to understand that statement that God will take what's meant for our harm and use it for good, that is always true. Even if we don't necessarily see what that good is. When you look at it if you try to look at things through heaven's eyes, that was a song in Prince of Egypt, the animated movie. And I remember that stuck to me.
Yeah.
Look at your life through heaven's eyes.
Right.
So important for all of us, because even though we may not understand the why, we have to understand that the why is leading to something greater than us.
That could be comforting to so many people because, we try to see through heaven's eyes here on earth.
True.
So now that's a story that is a testament to the fact that you literally see through heaven's eyes in heaven, because that's where the good is coming through.
Yeah, it's the only place.
Like we'll look for earthly signs that, something bad is actually for ultimate good, but here's this testament of her brother who the good is done in a place where we can't see.
Yeah, and I'd like to add too, because it's something I have written about extensively, about soul, human soul, and the evolution of the human soul through time. And I find it absolutely, when he said that to Justin, Justin, you fell back, against the wall a little bit because he came up on you so close, and you had tears in your eyes when he said that to you, because it was
heavy, man.
Absolutely mind-blowing that this my brother, who had given up, he was a carpenter at one point, but he let drugs rule his life so much. He didn't want help. He didn't do anything. His mind had progressed so much from the drugs, but it showed that the soul can still.
Soul's not affected.
Right. And the soul can still grow,
and you can still
on
achieve
the other
your
side.
Purpose, no matter what.
And that was the one thing that shocked you, was that he said, I found my purpose. I found my purpose here.
It's deep.
Wow.
And that's, he couldn't find it. He was a new soul, and I always used to tell him that, Richie, you're a new soul. You're just not meant to get it this time. But he does his job there, and he helps people transition. And he, unfortunately, very, very, it's very sad, but he's always busy. Always.
So
yeah.
Eve, if we could just say goodbye to you, because we have one more person that wants to come in.
Yes.
And to get off.
Thank you so much for answering that deep question. Okay, thank you. Bye.
We'll try to get to Christopher Fisher, who's a co-host, another host on this show. Who I think. Oh, there he is. Chris.
Hello.
Hey, Chris. How are you? Welcome.
How are you?
Good.
I don't remember who you are.
I'm Lily Bhattacharya. I met you on the Halloween night.
Yeah.
You did the first part. I did the second part with Sky and Melinda.
Oh, okay. My memory's sometimes foggy.
Right. Did you have a quick question for Justin before I jump off? Because we have 1 minute and I've been warned.
I wanted to try reading from you, but I'll do it off the air.
Okay. All righty. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Chris. We appreciate it. Okay. Yeah. I will let you go because I think the next show is ready to come on. So thanks for joining us. For those who were listening, we had a wonderful, awesome show. We had a wonderful guest with his wonderful family and the other side coming in. And so this was a real success. So thank you so much, and give you guys a hand.
Hey.
And share out, and we'll give all the information. I will post their information again on the page so that you guys can share it, like it, and let other people know about Justin and his great work. Okay?
Thank you so much for having me, Lily. You guys have a great day and stay blessed, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to make sure I add you, Lily, so I can talk to you.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.